All right, I'm going to start this one off a little differently.
So was she.
So we realized we hadn't had a Bonnie Blue update in quite a while, and there's one particular listener who is a very big Bonnie Blue fan and tuned into us for a while specifically because we were covering Bonnie. So today I'd like to start the episode off with a hearty and heartfelt "Hi, John," and he will get that and appreciate it and love it.
John, we are doing this for you under my protest. I do not approve of this.
He does not. We are, however, going to use this as a teaser and make you wait until the end for the Bonnie Blue update because we have some other interesting stuff to talk about. So that's what we're going to do.
I love that.
But Bonnie won't be the only sexual topic of the episode. So
No, it will not. We're going to have a whale of a good time.
Should we start with that killer sexual topic that we're both so wildly enthralled with?
Probably should. I just can't. I can. You guys all know this by now. When I say I can't, I definitely can. I'm just
usually means you did.
Yeah. Yes, right. So I would like to point out, just to set the stage, that when we remembered right before recording, we never talked about this, did we? To find the article, I went into Google and I put in Orca French pleasured, and this was the top result.
Yep. And I think mine was sexual stimulation French Orca. And same thing.
Google knew exactly what we wanted. Google's a sick bastard. Here's the title. For Orca left in limbo, zoo resorts to sexual stimulation to stop inbreeding. August 23rd, George Sandeman, BBC News, reputable source. Should I start reading?
Yes, you should. Yes.
A male killer whale at a closed marine zoo is being sexually stimulated by his trainers to stop him inbreeding with his mother. Marine land, is it Antibes? Antibes shut in January, but managers, the French government, and animal rights activists have not agreed on where or how the orcas should be rehomed. The closure comes ahead of a French law taking effect in December, which bans the use of whales in marine zoo shows. The impasse means the pair, Wiki, 24, and her 11-year-old son, Kijo?
I think it's Kijo. Yep, that's how I pronounce it.
Are still being kept in their pools and being cared for by their trainers at the facility in southern France. Last week, the activist group Tidebreakers obtained overhead footage showing two trainers standing at the edge of a pool next to Kijo as he lies upside down. One trainer holds onto a flipper as the other stimulates the whale, who can be seen writhing about in the water. Wiki can be seen in an adjacent pool facing towards where her son is being held. Keeping them in separate pools permanently is considered harmful to their well-being, as orcas are sociable animals. The footage was taken on August 12th, and managers at Marineland tell BBC News the action was necessary, as Kijo is reaching adolescence and has increasingly strong sexual urges. Quote, in order to avoid inbreeding with his mother, but also to prevent them from fighting and injuring each other, Marineland decided to sexually stimulate Kijo, brackets, to relieve him of his tensions. Managers add, although spectacular, this is natural and totally painless for the animals.
I mean, when you're French, you got to make sure you specify on that, right?
I'm almost... I just want to read to the line. Can I read to the line? Should I go that long? Pun intended?
Yeah.
Okay. The French Ecology Ministry, which must approve where the orcas are rehomed, say they were informed by Marineland that Kijo is being stimulated once a month and that a veterinary expert has been consulted about the process. Valerie Green, a member of Tidebreakers who worked at SeaWorld Orlando for a decade, tells us the stimulation of Kijo for sexual relief is unusual. As a former killer whale trainer, I've never seen this behavior performed for anything other than attempting semen collection for use in artificial insemination. Female orcas kept in marine zoos can be artificially inseminated to breed more calves, which can later be used to attract more visitors and perform in shows. This was quite common until the last decade, when laws were passed in countries, including France and the US, banning several breeding practices. However, breeding laws in Japan are less strict, and activists believe marine zoo managers there may be interested in purchasing orca semen after the country's only male orca, Earth, died on the August 3rd. Next section. Perverse new low. Just over a week after his death, Marineland's trainers were seen stimulating Kijo.
That's the line that absolutely got both of us when we read this. And yes, Doug read that correctly. You heard him right. Just a week after his death, trainers were seen stimulating Kijo.
Green adds, Kijo is inbred, so it's even more concerning that his semen might be used for breeding of captive orcas. Kijo's mother and his father are half siblings. And then the article goes on as if that last line like never happened. It talks about Kijo like he's still alive. I don't know if Kijo is actually dead or not, but that one line just is just hanging out there, unedited.
It's amazing that an editor didn't catch that. Like every time I see this, I want to send someone my resume and just say, "Hey, I'll give you a discount. You need an editor. Like this is bad."
And I'm sorry, I lost everything. My computer's doing that weird stuff again. For the record, at least according to the rest of the internet, Kijo is not dead. Just so we're clear.
So the article goes on and talks about the black market for orca semen and how they don't want to sell inbred. They don't want to, use the inbred semen to inseminate other orcas because, you don't want that. You don't want to damage the orca chain, their DNA going down. But really, it's the fondling and the masturbation of a dead orca that had Doug's interest the most in this. A couple of things about this article. One, again, the SeaWorld trainer said this is very unusual behavior. It's only done blah, blah, blah. I get that this guy's going through puberty and you don't want him like assaulting his mother. I get that. But I got to say that like the idea to just give an orca a hand job is the most French thing I've ever heard in my life. And I'm envisioning a trainer with like a beret, he smokes a cigarette afterward, asks the whale how good it was for him in his stupid little French accent. I kind of envision all that happening. But the thing that gets me is when it talks about his mother is in an adjacent pool facing toward
voyeurism
is being held, right? It's like, yeah, I want you to look your mother in the eye while we jerk you off. Like, this is some French stuff. This is really twisted and really bizarre. There's just so much to unpack in this one.
He's already inbred, so this is just par for the course.
I'm making another league reference because it's fantasy football time, and I haven't made one of those references in a while. But Rafi from the league was frequently like, I want you to look me in the eyes. That was his thing, And I'm just kind of figuring there's a little bit of that going on here. It's, oh, man.
There were a couple of things that happened to me here. I liked how they're like, well, Japan likes semen. Like they just kind of tossed that in there. And all I could think about was the South Park episode where they blame the whale and the dolphin for dropping the atomic bomb on Japan.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, you haven't seen it? It's stupid. It's these. It's typical South Park. A bunch of Japanese start raiding like SeaWorld and stuff like that, and like stabbing all the whales and dolphins to death, and they're like all dressed in, samurai robes and shit, and they just yell, "Fuck you, dolphin and whale!" and you've come to find out that the U.S. government let a picture go public of a dolphin and a whale in like the Enola Gay plane, like looking out the windows.
Operation Mickey Mouse is orchestrated.
It was just like the stupidest thing. And so they had to figure out what to do, so they switched it to whatever, and then the Japanese are attacking that. Like it's just like stupid. But I was in my head reading this article for some reason was Japan came up. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that line's still there. We just pulled the article up and read it fresh tonight. This is not a saved PDF or anything like that. Like this is hot off the internet press still. Someone still hasn't edited that.
I still haven't edited the dead orca a week after his death.
Is there a comment section?
And it's funny that I looked too, because I was hoping somebody would say something.
Like someone would be like, "Hey guys, you should really look at this."
No, I think the BBC's page is being run by the same people who are running the international diplomacy efforts of Sealand.
Probably.
Perverse new low, just a week after his death. Man,
like
that actually reminds me of a great story. While we're on this topic,
I'm not sure I want to hear this. Actually,
but you do. You'll chuckle over this. There's a gentleman I played poker with back when I was playing more poker. I actually played a little bit today for the first time in quite a bit. Yeah. But there's a gentleman who I used to play a lot of 2-5 with, and I don't want to say his name because he asked me not to when he told me the story a long time ago. He said, I could tell the story, but don't mention his name. He's been trying to convince his wife for many, many years. They've been married over 20 years to do the thing, to let him put it there. And he's been trying to convince her this. And
in
she
the
is
Orca. Yeah. Got it.
in the Orca, yes. And she has adamantly refused to let him put it in the Orca. And apparently she told him, you have my permission to do that under exactly one circumstance. And he said, oh, well, what's that circumstance? And she said, you can put it in my Orca when I'm dead. And he said, I'm sorry.
Oh,
She
this
goes,
is
yeah.
gets worse.
Yep. She goes, well, it's actually pretty similar,
It's a
apparently, considering how
Orca.
they haven't edited that line out yet. It's actually pretty similar. So she says, yeah, when I die, then you can do it. And I will hold it against you in the afterlife. And he says, how the hell am I going to pull that off? I'm going to be so sad. She goes, it's easy. And she gave him the plan. She said, what you do is you go tell the coroner after I'm died, you've had your day of grieving. You go tell him that you need, 10 minutes to say goodbye to your wife and you'd like some privacy. And then you can do it right then and there. So
find all the cameras first.
Right, I guess so, yeah. But she, gave him permission to put it in
they're not
going to
have,
when she dies.
Nowadays, they're not going to do the like body desecration and stuff. They got to have cameras on some of those spots just for malpractice and stuff, I'd assume, right?
One would think, yeah. But I mean, he's been waiting so long at this point, maybe he won't care at that point. I don't know. Maybe he'll be old and he can blame it on being deranged and yeah, I don't know. But when he tells the story, it's quite the story. And he shared it with like the whole poker table. It was, yeah, they had the conversation. That's her one condition for putting it in the Orca. Man, I'm going to make that stick. That's going to be a good term.
I was going to say, may I humbly request that this episode be titled "Put It in My Orca."
Yeah, that might be a good one.
I'm trying to imagine if I was sitting there at the table. Like, it's funny now, but I'd probably be one of the people like sitting, listening, not saying a word, judging harshly. And then he'd finish the story, and I'd be like, "Heh." And then the whole night I'd be looking at him like, that sick motherfucker over there. I'm gonna take.
Well, I mean, apparently he's no sicker than the people working over here with the Orcas.
No, they're just doing the job. They're getting paid for it, sir. They are professionals.
I guess that's true. And they did the veterinarian there. Like they made sure they were safe.
I love how the quote, the best quote they could get was, well, it's unusual. They didn't say this is outrageous. I can't believe this. They were just like, what?
Yeah.
That's not how I do it. That's basically all they really said was, it's not that we're frowning upon it. It's just that we think it could be better.
All right. So where are we going?
Let's get off this topic.
Yes. Let's please get off this topic.
Let's go to the DUI, not DUI guy, the trooper.
Yes.
Because I'm going to get all, if I really get rolling on that judge, like I said, I'm just keep going.
So we should probably let you guys know too. We're kind of trying to play catch up on a bunch of things that we wanted to talk about that we have not managed to get down with. And we figured we'd give each one about 10 minutes tonight, get through them kind of quickly. Obviously, you know us. We're not going to be able to keep anything to just 10 minutes. That's what we're going to try to do. We were going to set a timer and a buzzer and just didn't get around to that. So next up on our topic.
We both didn't want the buzzer.
I wanted the buzzer. I was just not motivated enough to get it fired up. Next up is an article. There were a bunch of different articles, and I probably didn't pull the best one here. And I don't think this is the one that I initially texted Doug.
No, I think it is the
same one.
I think it's the one you had.
Okay. If a sober former U.S. attorney can be wrongly arrested for DUI in Tennessee, anyone can. And man, what a long fucking headline. You couldn't have done better than that.
We've done longer.
We have, but that doesn't make them better. In this case, a former U.S. attorney in Tennessee named Jane Bondurant says that she was wrongly arrested for DUI by the state police. She is the 8th sober driver arrested and reportedly the 16th by THP. I don't know what THP stands for. I'm sure
Tennessee Highway Patrol.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
16th by the Tennessee Highway Patrol in recent months. And this is sort of an ongoing issue. If you heard the last episode, or maybe 2 episodes ago, I mentioned I had a friend going through something like this. That was why this article resonated with us right now. But apparently it's just it's becoming cool to arrest people for drunk driving who don't have any alcohol or illegal substances in their system. The list of sober drivers arrested for DUI in Tennessee keeps growing, raising serious questions about how the state enforces impaired driving laws. Because portable breath test results are not admissible in Tennessee courts, officers often rely on standard field sobriety tests, which can be unreliable. The latest arrest caught public attention not only for its circumstances, but also for who was involved, a former U.S. attorney. The driver is a 71-year-old Jane Bondurant, police arrested her after a minor fender bender with a local police officer. State Trooper Sam Zahn showed up and conducted a field sobriety test, claimed in his report she had bloodshot, watery eyes and showed signs of impairment. The test results, a little different. Aside from a sleep medication she had taken the night before, her blood was free of drugs and or alcohol. Prosecutors dropped the charge, but she wasn't happy with that, and nor should she be, by the way. She was shocked. She said, shock is the first reaction, trauma, and the trauma lasted for months. I do think that word's a little overused, but being arrested for DUI at 71 is certainly, I think, traumatic. I think I'm 8 people too many, she says. It goes on to talk about all of the arrests this year. Notably, authorities across the state have arrested over 600 sober people for DUI since 2017. So in 8 years, 600. What's that?
Wait, that's 20. No. Man, don't let me do math again. I was like 20, motherfuckers. Nope.
Not quite. Not quite.
Like 76. Now that I actually settled down. That's not bad. That's only 1 every 5 days.
600 divided by 8?
Mm-hmm. Let's do it by 2s. 300,
like
4, 152. That's 75.
Yeah, okay. That works.
75 out of 365 is 1 every 5 days. Little bit more.
That's a lot. I could tell you, of all the people I arrested for DUIs in Newport News, Virginia, 0 of them were not drunk. 100% of them were intoxicated.
See, what's more interesting to me, if this was nationwide, I'd be like, okay, fine, whatever. That's 20 arrests a weekend per state, and you'd have 1 out of every 20 is a false positive or whatever. But this is in Tennessee, is what this number comes from. It says it's across the state. So this is 1 every 5 days for 8 years in the state. That I feel like that's not good.
No, that's not.
You should be better than that at this rate, I would think. So I love how this article also says something that's at least jarring for a second, and they just don't actually really clarify it. Because the other article, I found the original you actually sent me, said the same thing. It's almost the exact same wording. Okay. When they said, the police arrested her after a minor fender bender with a local police officer. So she crashed with a police officer.
Yep.
And the Stadies came and got her. So did she hit the police officer? Did the police officer hit her? I think they're assuming that she hit the officer. Probably.
I would guess that the way this played out is she probably had that accident with the officer. The officer realized she was not intoxicated and released her for whatever reason. He didn't keep her, so nothing happened. And then they probably
the officer called state highway to be I'm not. I'm part of the accident, so let's get a neutral cop involved with this, maybe. There's a state highway guy nearby who's coming anyway, so let him kind of take it.
I'll bet you they were just in the area after the crash and happened to see her banged up car afterward, and the guy was like, oh, I'm pulling this person over. And then from there. So the problem with DUIs.
Could she have had a minor fender bender and a local cop pulled up on her and then was just fine, that's what I mean. This is worded so badly that it doesn't actually tell you what happened.
No, it's badly written, but also that's all pretty irrelevant. None of that actually matters, and that's probably why they glossed over it, because it's really not important.
I don't know. To me, it does. If you crash into somebody, but you're sober, you still crashed into somebody. I don't know.
Oh, but most minor fender benders aren't reportable, though. Most minor fender benders aren't something a lot of police departments won't handle it if it's not major damage over a certain value and there are no injuries.
Oh,
it's not even something they create a report about.
It's just you messed up. You got to pay $100 or something for your own damn car.
Not even. They just exchange information. They make sure you guys swap your insurance information, your contact information, and that's all they can do. In Newport.
Well, yeah, but what if you actually hit a cop? Is what I'm saying. Does that
Yeah,
change things?
it probably depends on who's at
I
fault
don't
and
know.
how serious the damage is. It's probably the same thing.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I was just curious. Like I said, I've never crashed into a cop before.
Yeah.
Given my history, it's surprising, but
No, I never had anyone crash into my cop car. But the thing with the DUI here is, it says that you can't submit the portable breath test. That's stupid because they had blood work. So the portable breath test is only used to develop probable cause. Like it's not something that needs to go to court because once you have it, then they took her to go get a blood test. That's what you need. And the blood test popped up negative and there was nothing in her blood except like residue from a sleeping pill that from the day
one, it
before.
specifically says drugs too. It wasn't like because you had that one case where the guy was blowing zero point 0 and you were like, he's obviously impaired.
Yeah. And he was like,
Like it
"Oh
wasn't
man,
even,
I'm glad that
it
doesn't
was,
pick up on heroin." Like, oh, thank God you said that. Because I was too dumb to realize what was happening at the time.
but that's what I mean. Like so the blood test revealed not just no alcohol, but nothing that would
Yeah.
register for an offensible thing either. That's like really bad. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how as an officer, you don't say, okay, go home like immediately. Why do you not do that? Because that just from a self-preservation standpoint, like you want to keep your job.
So
You
yes,
know what I
but
mean? Like this feels like a lot. Like you do that with one person, that's like asking for a lawsuit.
so I can talk to that point. And what happens here is if you pulled her over, then you saw something that made you think there was something you had reasonable suspicion that something was wrong. Okay.
Okay.
If she's 71 years old and she just had this crash, she's probably worked up and nervous. At 71 years old, she probably can't pass the field sobriety test. Like even if she's stone sober on a good day, some of these are
Right.
probably hard for her to do. But if he pulls her over and she's nervous and anxious and her speech isn't right and she was doing something suspicious driving, whether it was not maintaining a line or crazy speed or her headlights were off in the middle of the night, these are all things that make you think, okay, this person might be impaired. And you can't
Right.
just let them go until you've established that they're not impaired. Like you
I'm
do
with you so
establish they're
far.
safe. Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you so
So
far.
so when she fails the FSTs, well, that doesn't make him feel like she's sober, even though there's probably a good reason she didn't pass them. My issue is that if she blows into PBT and you get zeros, and I mean, unless she did something really dramatic to show the impairment, it's really hard to justify arresting her or detaining her. Like you have to arrest her for a blood test. You can't detain her. That's
I just
post arrest.
realized I think I had this wrong. I had in my head that he did all the field sobriety tests, said, okay, we're going to go do a blood test. Blood test came back and he was like, well, you're still under arrest anyway for whatever else you did and brought her in.
Oh no, you don't get
So,
the blood test results until after you've arrested. Yeah, you arrest,
right.
you
So
bring them to the
she's been
hospital.
arrested. They go to the hospital. So that's the issue here is that they've made the arrest. So he probably did let her go after the blood test then is what
Well,
we're
the blood test results come back days later, so they dissolved the arrest. They didn't say they dissolved the arrest. They dropped the
right. Because
charge.
they didn't press charges. I said, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But she
So,
still got stuck in handcuffs and dragged in the
and
back of a police car to a hospital and forcefully withdrawn blood and then spent time, depending on their
maybe
policies,
spend overnight
she
in a
might have
jail
spent the
cell
night
or
in jail.
something.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
very well could
exactly.
have. So that was
Yeah.
all done. The problem with this is the training. The problem with this,
Right.
this officer was not able to recognize that she was not impaired. The officer was not able to, he wasn't able to develop appropriate probable cause, or he was doing something incorrectly while he was developing probable cause and then affected an arrest that shouldn't have
Shouldn't
happened.
have happened.
Right.
Yeah. So here's
So
my
so it's a training problem. They're not training their officers to identify this correctly, and they're not training them to develop probable cause directly, and that leads to them violating people's rights. That's what this
and
is. This is a
apparently it
training
happens
issue.
one in every 5 days across the state. So it might be a
Yeah.
state state training principles issue somehow.
Yep.
Okay,
Could
so
be.
here, let me be a stupid regular citizen. It is 2025.
Yep.
We're talking about AI like sex robots, it being in every weirdo's home in like 5 years.
Yep.
Why can't we just have a rock solid like you're drunk, you're not drunk? Why is this so hard?
Because it's not that easy to develop something that holds up to the rigor of evidence in court.
What's the problem with the rigor of evidence? I mean, I'm partially just trying to guide the discussion here, but also like really to my perspective, like, so the eye thing, I can't remember what it's called.
Nystagmus. Yep.
Yeah.
Horizontal gaze nystagmus.
Isn't that like pretty much rock solid, like literally medical field level, like this
Yep.
person's drunk? when they
That
got
is
it.
the number one thing that is the hardest thing to argue about. If you're impaired, you're going to have that. The problem is
Right.
when you go
Is
to
it that
testify in
some
court.
people have it at 0.04 and they're not actually intoxicated?
Nope. The problem is when you go to court, everyone is entitled to their best possible legal defense. And so when you go to court and you explain the process and you explain the horizontal eye nystagmus test, a defense attorney is going to say, huh, can you show me the journals in which it shows that this is related to intoxication? And even if you have even if you have studies on hand, you say, okay, are you a medical professional? And you say, no. Okay. Are you trained to recognize this? Say, well, yes. Okay. Explain your training to me on this. Say, well, I went through a course in the police academy and we've done reinforcement training, once a year. I'll say, okay, so you're not a medical professional. You received cursory introductory training to this. You do a refresher course and refresher training on this like once a year for a classroom for 20 minutes. And that's going to qualify you as an expert for medical evidence in court. Do you have a doctor's degree? Do you work as a first responder? And any judge who hears that is going to say, yeah, I'm not going to take that as evidence because you're not a medical professional. Even if you've got this police officer training in it. Well, the next thing they can do is you say, I was trained here. Okay, well, now I'm going to subpoena the people that trained you. And I'm going to subpoena the people that trained them. And unless one of them is a medical professional, they're going to keep going up the train. And eventually they're going to establish, yeah, there are no medical professionals involved in training the officers on this. This is all just like something that was taught and passed down the chain. This guy, they're all using the previous guy's notes. None of them are medical professionals. This is not admissible in court. And it gets kicked out. We were not allowed to use that in court. We could use it to develop PC, but you were not allowed to use it in court. You couldn't even write it in your report. You could write it on your notes. And if you were specifically asked about it at court, you could then bring it up. But we were not supposed to bring it up because we were not medical professionals and no one involved in the training was either.
This feels like a really easy fix. Police Academy. Get a medical professional who's willing to just consult on that class and make sure it's being taught correctly. Boom, done. Have
If
the
they
medical
can,
professional write off on each person having sufficiently proven knowledge of it.
if they can appear every time they're subpoenaed in court to testify, and they have to testify how the training was
Does that
done.
actual medical professional have to do it?
Yes, the person who administered the training is going to have to be there to testify to how they trained, the rigors, the standard, what resources they used, how the person performed.
Okay.
Good luck doing this.
Here's my thing though. And again, this is again stupid, dumb citizen, on the outside looking in. I'm imagining if myself being the medical professional in play here, okay, you want to subpoena me? Sure. As long as I'm allowed to like Zoom call into the court wherever I am. I pay $400 an hour for my time, in the court on each of these Zoom calls. You send me the video from the officer's body cam or maybe like an eye cam you install or whatever. And I just look at it and I go, yep, intoxicated. Medical professional, done. Like what in 2025, why can't we have something just saying yes, done? And like from a doctor's perspective, this is an extra moneymaker. Oh, hold on, I've got a court date in my office. You can just have someone hired to consult, and he's like, "What? Why can't we do this?"
Because I don't know that they'd be allowed to do this remotely. I don't know every court's going to let you just do that.
I mean, you have an encrypted line, a secure line. Like if you're going to trust the video from the police office, you can trust a Zoom video with a doctor who's, accrediting themselves.
Then you've got to worry about the lighting for the video, and you've got to worry about everything being captured correctly on the video. I think there's a lot if you're not doing this in person, I think there's a lot to worry about.
Well,
I think your initial suggestion is better.
If I was a doctor, I'd be like, hey, every police station in my state, you want me to be a part of your case? Show me the video. I'll tell you if it's worthy of me zooming into your trial or not. Boom.
Do you know how often you would be in court?
Yeah.
Not getting paid for your time?
I would, if you can dial me in as a part of the session, legislators allow that. Absolutely. And like I said, I'll rake it in, baby.
Well, but that's an assumption, and I don't know that they can do that. And I would imagine it's possible now in post-COVID, but we didn't have anything like that going on when I was a police officer.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Like to me, this should be such an obvious, like we can find a way to do this. That's also like chain of custody level, like secure lines or accredited people or registered on a list of approved doctors to speak on this in a court matter. Like, and all they would have to do is take some probably like 20-hour online training anyway from like legal system or whatever too. Like,
but that financial cost would add up very quickly is the problem. And if you could make the guy pay it in fines and it comes out of the person when they're found guilty, maybe it's worth it. But you just said $400 an hour. I don't know if that's accurate. Like I'm assuming that was just a number off the top of your head. But
Yeah.
honestly, it could very well be between $200 and $500 an hour. And when you're talking about a department, mine in Newport News on a Saturday night is making 4 or 5 DUI arrests just in my district. That's not the whole city. That was a small city of 180,000 people, and that's one little district in there. So you could be talking in a bigger city, I don't know, 80 DUIs a night. You could have like something like that. And that's just one city. Maybe it's broken up by a county and you get the same people doing the county work. How much money
Okay.
are you spending? I was
Li-
when I was a
l-
cop, I was doing about 24 or 25 DUIs a year. That's about what I was making, just me individually as an officer. I was making 20 to 25 DUI arrests a year.
Okay, but
So,
line them up and knock them down now. Like, okay, hey, every third Saturday of the month, we're doing the DUI hearings. Let's go.
oh,
Like,
they're not
doctor
showing up.
remotes it.
A judge isn't
You
coming
know,
in on Saturday. There's no way. They're not doing that.
I'm not saying, okay, not Saturday, Thursday, whatever. I don't give a shit, Tom. You know what I'm trying to say. Just pick an hour, line them up, do 20 at a time. Like, and that's your hour as the medical professional. Or even better, you set up legislation to have an approved doctor who reviews everything on their own time. They get paid X per review. They literally sign their name to a sheet of paper that says yes or no, and that gets filed with the court as evidence.
Yeah,
That should be easy enough.
because you have the right to address your accuser, and they've got to have the right to. The defense has to have the right to address that person. You
The
can't just have
the
a submitted
doctor is
document.
not an accuser. The doctor is providing an expert opinion in writing with a ink signature that is being filed with the court.
Let me try this again in a different way. When you have a DUI from a blood test or a urinalysis, the nurse that draws the blood, anybody who handles the blood, you're bringing all of those people into the court trial because they're all a part of the chain of custody, and the defense attorney
Okay,
has the right to
fair,
question any of them.
fair. Okay,
So if
that's
you're going to drag in a nurse who pulls a needle, like you're going to have to drag this guy into court too.
okay. Here's my question then.
Mm.
From appraisal land, because I've been in appraisal world for a while now, a lot of appraisers' fees for testimony in court or even just working with attorneys during discovery or whatever like that, like they're already at like $300 an hour is what I've seen and
Yeah,
heard from people. So why is this so hard for a doctor to take this up? I mean, a doctor will charge you $200 for an
well,
hour visit at the office. Like a doctor could do easily this kind of fee for their time, and
because who's paying it?
you know,
When appraisers do that, it's not a prosecutor who's paying that, I would wager. I would guess that's coming in a civil case
well,
or a
that's a
defense
client.
attorney.
Well, right, but that's
But but who's paying it matters
the
because the
funds are
prosec
there though. That's what I'm saying. This is a
no,
funding thing.
they're not though. Like in Newport News when I was there, they didn't have enough attorneys for the job. There was not enough money in the budget for the job we did. That was why we had backlogs that we had. Not everyone has the money for this sort of thing.
I have a hard time believing that, considering we all pay property taxes on properties we own, that the government doesn't have enough money to figure this fucking thing out.
Well, the government's
Honestly.
not motivated to do it. They
Well,
don't.
you're right. That's the problem. They don't care.
Any of
This
this
should
could
be
be
a
fixed if the government cared enough to fix it,
well, and to
but they
me,
don't.
the well, you're right, and you know what? That's probably what I'm railing against, because to me, the real problem here is that if you just make a good system, you can figure it out. And this is actually one of the things that I think would matter, because do you want to find more Loctite ways to keep dangerous people off the road?
Mhm.
Yes, that's an obvious one. That's like a winning platform thing, you know. But you have to convince the normies that it's worth the time to figure out this new doctor consulting system. Fuck, I mean, they have teledoctors already. Like, why can't we do this
Well,
somehow?
but the other
You
thing that's
know?
going to happen
Ugh.
if you do that is the defense attorney is now going to be incentivized to bring in one of their experts, and they're going to go ahead and they're going to find some way to speak against it based on their expert opinion. And all you're going to find are two expert opinions, both paid by different sides, giving different, like you do in every high profile
I was
criminal
going to say
case.
this happens in
Right.
a lot of cases,
And
though.
it's not effective. It's not a helpful thing in getting the resolution done. So
But
ultimately,
if it's
it's
well,
not
but
going to
okay,
help.
but here's my thing. And again, I'm making a big assumption here because again, I'm not a medical professional either. But if this eye thing, you call it
Horizontal gaze nystagmus.
nystagmus, thank you. If the nystagmus really is such a slam dunk medical, like this is just something the human body does when impaired thing, at least in the cases where one doctor is willing to look at a video and be like, oh yeah, obviously, wouldn't the other doctor who comes in to try to like play defense, wouldn't they be risking their medical license if they're like, couldn't the prosecution just say, is this nystagmus or not? And if they say, well, yes, then you're done. And if they say, well, no, now you have a way to attack that doctor's license. Like, no doctor should put themselves against that. If it really isn't like this is just how it is, like, you know,
I think in
sky
any
is blue kind of level science.
I think when you're looking at published papers and you're looking at literature, you can always find the sky is never
Yeah,
blue.
the
You
one
can always
wackadoodle
find that one wackadoodle, and that's what people would bring to
who
the table
often
because they're getting paid.
whose license gets discredited, and then they only take they only do cash when they lease their spaces.
Right. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
But no,
that guy.
that's why I don't think this would work. And honestly, you
All
don't
right.
need it. If you needed it to get there, then maybe that would matter. But if you do this job correctly, if a police officer does the job right and they ask the right questions and they're using the right indications and they're doing everything correctly, you don't need the nystagmus to prove DUI. There
See, Tom,
came a point where I stopped even using it. I really didn't even bother because
right.
well,
Well, there's
there
got
are
to be
things that are
ways
admissible in court that can't be thrown out that you use, and that's fine.
there's
These
got to be
officers are
ways
not
to
doing that.
streamline this, though. Tom, you're being so negative. This is why the Alabama Supreme Court was right to bring God into this, because God is infallible.
Yes, but our understanding of God is extremely fallible, and it's stupid of us to use our understanding and assumptions to interpret his.
You said you were listening to that one earlier, right?
I was going to. I didn't actually get
Okay.
to pull it up. I meant to.
I should try to listen to it again sometime. I just remember, I was like, oh, I've got Tom. I'm just gonna. I got the rage bait going. I'm just
I
gonna
was
keep
so
rolling
angry
with
that
it.
episode. Vidi,
Veni, Vidi, and
Veni, Vidi, and
Vitro.
Vitro. Yeah, from the Italian.
That was
Veni,
like
Vidi, and Vitro.
that was like in the 20s, wasn't it? That was like
Yeah, it was. It
22 or
was. It was
24 or
just.
something.
I think it was just
That was
pre-Terrence. It was just
so early.
before Terrence Howard. I think it was.
BTH. It was
Yeah,
definitely BTH. I remember that.
I think it was right before or right after the first "What Is a Woman" episode. I think.
You are correct. What is a woman answered, and then Veni, Vidi, and Vitro.
Yeah.
Those were 22 and 23.
Wow, 50 episodes ago. That's wild.
You want to know something? Man versus Bear was BT8. Again, I know we've done this before, but Man versus Bear was 29.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
I know I've done this, but a couple of times, but still, I was surprised.
Somebody asked me to recommend one today, and they asked me what my favorite one was, and I said to Doug, "I'm like, I don't know. What was do you have a favorite?" And Doug was like, "Yeah, I got to go look."
It's the Philly one. The Philly was I remember driving to multiple appraisal inspections, and I sat at a stop sign for a while longer. I was crying, laughing, just listening to it again. Those were some fantastic Philly stories. I loved it.
That was a hell of a trip and a hell of a bathroom.
Oh my gosh. That's so good. Anyway. All right. So if you're a cop, don't do stupid shit. If you're not a cop, don't do stupid shit. Boom, done.
Yeah, it's hard because I always want to support my brothers and sisters in blue, but in cases like this where someone's just doing the wrong thing, you need to fix yourself because you're making shit harder for everybody else.
Uncle Ben principle: with great power comes great responsibility. Yep. And you know what? An officer, shout out to the Things Police See host. What's his name? Steve Gold. Steve Gold. That's it. Yeah. He's the one who says every so often, we have the ability to basically take someone's rights away. We can arrest them.
Yeah.
And so he talks about how that's a big thing. And you know what? That's it. You have the ability to take someone's rights away, even temporarily. So you can't just fuck around when you have that kind of ability. You just can't.
All right. I'm not going to tell the story of my friend. I want to, but I'm going to wait. We'll come back and visit that here in a little bit.
I love when you do that.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
It's your favorite?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's oh, look at this juicy story. Yoink. Nope.
Well,
speaking of having power and not using it correctly, we should get into this Appleton judge. I fucking hate this guy already. Just reading the article, I hate him. Okay, so Louis C.K., God rest his soul, because apparently he got canceled a while ago. he did a stand-up, and I think I first watched it. This is a weird story the way I'm talking about it. I watched it on my honeymoon. We were just having one of our two-week honeymoon. It was just kind of in the middle of the stay, and I pulled up this 45-minute video. We just kind of watched it together. And he was talking about walking his kid into kindergarten. And there was this one mom who was just a pushover with her 5-year-old, and he was like the biggest like little shit that he had ever seen. He talks about how the kid like just throws his backpack down on the floor, tosses his stuff around, and she's walking behind him going, "Oh, he's like this, and he's like, I'm 42 years old and I fucking hate this kid, like with a passion. Like, fuck this kid. He's 5, but I don't care. Like, fuck him." That's how I feel about this guy. I just read one article about him and I fucking hate this guy. What a jackass. Go, Tom, take it.
Oh no, you're passionate
I'm
about this, and I want to let you read this one.
Oh yeah, good. Let's talk about the judge when I'm completely biased.
Yep,
That sounds smart.
that's what I want. Let's talk about Mr.
Okay.
McGinnis here.
Okay. Mr. You mean Honorable McGinnis.
No, he's resigning. I'm not going to call him honorable.
He's resigning. He has not
Yep.
resigned.
Yeah,
So
he's lost the
technically,
right
he's
for me to
still
call him.
Nah, not yet.
I'm
He's
not. I'm
still
not
your
calling him
honor.
honorable. Nope. I'm not doing it. I'm not going there.
Just
He's lost
for a
that in
little
my
bit
mind.
longer, a couple more months. Okay, so here's the headline. Wisconsin judge will resign. Won't face criminal charges for jailing cement contractor. Headline. Okay, let's just start out. We'll get there. An Appleton area judge won't face criminal charges for jailing a man during a probation hearing over an unrelated financial dispute, but he will resign in February before his term expires, a special prosecutor assigned to the case said Thursday. I have to say this right. Outagamie County Judge Mark McGinnis had jailed cement contractor Tyler Barth in December 2021 over a private money dispute that was not a matter before the court. Sorry, excuse me, I had to burp there. It was an anger burp.
It wasn't anger burp.
McGinnis accused Barth of theft, but Barth had not been arrested or charged with a crime. Wisconsin Watch first reported the case in January 2024. La Crosse County District Attorney Tim Grinke was appointed as a special prosecutor in the case in March 2024, more than a year after the Wisconsin Department of Justice opened a criminal investigation. Quote, "That's crazy. The fact that nobody's going to prosecute him for it, that's insane," close quote. Barth said in an interview Thursday. Quote, "If he's retiring, I guess that's good. He can't do that to nobody else." Quote, but quote, "It's just bullshit, in my opinion." Grunke said several factors led him not to charge. McGinnis had acknowledged through his attorney that he could have handled the matter differently. McGinnis's decision to retire and concerns about the separations of powers between the executive and judicial branches of government over charging a judge for a mistake made on the bench. This isn't a case to test those parameters, especially since he acknowledged that he should have done it differently, Grunke said in an interview. Okay, maybe that's a good spot to stop. So now you've got the gist of it. So I think it does actually say later. Here it is. Barth had appeared before McGinnis for a probation review hearing on a felony conviction for fleeing an officer. McGinnis accused him of stealing several $1,000s from a cement contracting customer. The customer's spouse worked in the same courthouse for another Outagamie County judge. So, situation. Guy is a contractor. Guy is accused, innocent until proven guilty, because, we still theoretically do that in here in the good old USA. He is accused of fleeing an officer for whatever, probably a DUI, let's face it. it's Wisconsin.
Yep.
It's probably a DUI.
Probably DUI.
So, he comes into court and the judge looks at him and goes, "Hey, you're that son of a bitch that didn't do the work for Betty's husband. Betty works for another judge, not even me. Cuff his ass and bring him back here." That's what happened. And the judge goes,
accurate description. Yep.
Right? Like, that's basically it.
That's what this is, yeah.
And then later the judge goes, "Yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. By the way, I've decided to retire early." And the special prosecutor goes, "Yeah, we're not going to charge a judge."
And retire early, by the way, doesn't mean
bullshit.
He's retiring now. He's retiring sometime next year. That's
right,
what
like 5 months from when we're recording this, like
right.
4 or 5 months from you hearing this. So he's still on the bench, still doing shit right now. And I think his term ends in like next September or something like that. So he's taking months off, but not like, it's not like he's retiring real quick.
Right.
Ugh, what a jackass. You start talking. I fucking hate this dude. Like, I wanted to drive my ass to Wisconsin, like, cause we occasionally still go to Michigan. I wanted to
Yep.
like be like, hey honey, I'm gonna be gone for a day and I'm just gonna go like slash this dude's tires or something. Like, I fucking hate this dude. Like, show up outside his house and just like spray him with a power washer or something, like something benign just to piss him off. I hate this dude. What a dickhead. Just go.
Well, I'm afraid you're going to cut me off again. You
No,
seem
no,
very
I'm gonna
passionate about
mute.
this.
I'm gonna mute.
No, this feels very much like the officer we discussed a minute ago, and the one that my friend is dealing with in
I'm
Connecticut.
cutting you off. This is nothing like that officer. Officer we talked about a minute ago could just be a dumb shit. This is a very obvious, like, abuse of power. I'm the judge. What are you gonna do to me? Sorry, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
So, like I was saying, this sounds a lot like that officer that we just talked about, and the one that my friend is dealing with, in the sense that it is somebody trusted with real power and real responsibility, someone who we trust to be ethical in the administration of that power, and someone who simply cannot be trusted to wield it. This was a personal thing. This judge did not have probable cause to effect an arrest, but yet had a person locked up and thrown in jail. In some ways, in a lot of ways, this is probably worse than a police officer, like Doug was saying when he wasn't interrupting me a minute ago. This is worse than that police officer who might just be a dumbass and doesn't understand how to develop probable cause, who doesn't know how to properly administer the preliminary breath test, who wasn't trained properly. In a lot of ways, this is worse because this is a person with that authority making a decision to be petty and a choice to do something they are not legally empowered to do because they know they can get away with it. And this feels like authoritarianism. This feels like, yeah, this is bad. This is an abuse of power in a very real way. And the part that gets me is that they're letting the judge walk on it. They're going to let this judge retire February 1st. They're going to let this person retire honorably after something like this. And when you see something like this, I always find it very hard to believe that it's an isolated incident, that this is the first and only time something like this has ever happened. If you are willing to abuse your authority in this manner, in this case, then he probably was willing to abuse his authority another time in another way. And I really struggle with the idea of someone in this situation being allowed to honorably retire with all the benefits and all the prestige. That pisses me off. This person should be in jail. At the very least, there should be a civil suit and someone should have a case to go after this person to get some sort of great compensation for what this person did to them. That's the very least, in my opinion.
Well, and so, okay, this is the reason this upsets me so much is that there's somebody I know who had a moving violation, basically. Like, they were accused of running a red light. And I actually went to see the proceeding, and I mean, in so many words, maybe they did. I got to see the video and I was not automatically convinced because, they have the like big solid white line, and you have to be, if you're not past that, I think it's if you're not past that line when the light turns red, then you're running the red light. But if you're like in front of the line, your vehicle is substantially in front of the line kind of thing, then you're allowed to continue through the red if it turns that way.
Right.
And the video did not actually show that white line. Like, the light turns, it was from the cop's cruiser. The light turns red, like a half second goes by, and then the car comes into view and goes across the thing, and then they pull them over and they're claiming, well, it was red, and then you come into view. But it didn't actually show the line, so it wasn't like demonstrably provable, like you can freeze frame it's red and the car's behind the line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, maybe they did, but like, you don't actually have the true, like, it's actually truly guilty, like we can confirm it. And that always bothered me because the judge just sat there and went, well, I mean, looking at the video, it looks like the light turns red and then you ran across. And I was just sitting there thinking, I Googled the state statute on my phone in like 5 minutes and felt like I could give a more substantial answer to this question than this judge. And now, admittedly, the judge was there listening to like 20 or 30 cases, and he does this all the time. And, most of the time it's some version of he said, she said, and like whatever, but I hated that guy because he was just so nonchalant about it. He didn't really care about what the law actually said and actually putting people on it. If his duty was really to the community, he should be really favoring the innocent until proven guilty, and he should be at least telling the officer, "Hey, your evidence needs to be better. I'm still making a ruling, but I should at least put on the record that this doesn't show X, Y, or Z or whatever." This guy in Wisconsin is orders of magnitude worse.
I
I
disagree
mean,
with your personal example. I think you're wrong on that one.
why?
Because the officer's witness testimony counts as evidence. You don't have to have a video camera capture the exact offense. Otherwise, nothing would have
Okay,
ever been prosecuted before body cams.
fair,
That,
but
but
this
that highlights
officer's
the importance of an officer having integrity and us being able to trust their reporting and their witness.
now.
That
Okay,
highlights and emphasizes that.
that's a good
Why that's
point.
important.
The officer did not say that the officer just said she ran the red light, as you can see by the video. The officer did not say, she was across the line and the video supports this. The officer basically just said, look at the video.
Well, that might just be them not
Which,
articulating well, but that's, again, if they witnessed it,
okay,
then
okay, but
that's fine.
well, if you don't articulate well, then it's not part of the, like, oh, I meant to write that on the test. Okay, you still missed the question.
No, what did they say wrong there? Nothing they said was incorrect or infactual there. And if you don't say, officer, did you witness this? Did you see it with your eyes? Or were you simply looking at the video? The assumption is if it's a body cam or a dash cam and it captured it, that the officer also witnessed it. That's the
But it did
important
not.
piece of evidence.
Well, right, but he asked if the officer witnessed it. He said, "Yes, I witnessed what you see on the video."
Okay. That's fine.
The video does not show that they actually ran the red light legally, though.
Sure, but if he's saying he witnessed the incident, just because your camera doesn't have a wide enough frame to capture everything doesn't mean your eyes didn't see it. If you
He
say you
said
witnessed
okay. I'm sorry, am I not being clear? He's basically saying, "I witnessed what you see on the video, Your Honor." I was very specific on this. I was sitting there in the back, like I really wanted to jump up and be like, you haven't actually proved this. The officer said, "I defer to the video, Your Honor." He actually said that for his testimony. He did not say, "I saw her cross the line after the light was red as evidenced by the video." He said, "My testimony is look at the video." He did
So
not add anything to it.
that's again another problem with training and how they're taught to do this, and that's pretty bad.
Well,
And honestly, the judge probably should have chastised him and said, "You need to get better at this." But
right. Well, and that's the thing. So
at
this,
the same time, you can't watch that dash cam video in your car. So that means that for the officer to have initiated the stop, he must have seen the offense happen because you don't get to watch your dash cam footage until way after when you upload it. There's no screen in your car that shows you what that shows. So
well,
that means the
right.
officer had to witness the event. And if the officer witnessed the event, then this is a problem with
They
teaching how to
should
talk
be
in
able to
court.
say, "I saw,"
Well,
you
sure,
know,
but the person still
but
committed a crime. Do we want to live in a world where people get to walk on crimes just because officers aren't also public speakers out the gate? I mean, we don't want to loophole everything. You want murderers walking away because an officer says, "Well, my
well,
camera didn't have the best view and I couldn't get this frame rate right. And so I only got video of him with the knife and him moving an arm and the person dropping,
well, we
running with a
can.
knife. Like that's all I got. I didn't see the knife go in, but I'm going to testify based on what the video captured and you just let people walk. That's not how law works. You're losing the
Actually,
spirit
some
of the
people
law
do
for
walk on technicalities like at that level,
some people do, but you're
but
taking the letter of the law over the spirit of the law.
um,
That's taking it. And
no,
I still think that
okay.
the spirit of the law is the most
There's
important thing.
there's more to it than this. For the record, I was using this as an example of a judge that was just look. So here's what I'm trying to say. I am actually going with the spirit of the law, and I'll explain why. The video, when you just first have a knee jerk look at it, you just see a light, you see it turn red, then you see a car come into frame, crossing. So, like visually, when you're looking at the video, red, then a car comes in. So, your knee jerk reaction is, oh, they ran a red light. But when you actually look at the intersection, because I know where this is, it's local, the white line that you have to be crossing, presumably to be legally fine, is like way the butt fuck off camera. It's like a good 15, 20 feet off to the side. So I actually think if you sat there and if you really did a true scientific justice, I'm willing to bet that at least like 3 or 4 feet of this car was over the line when the light turned red. The car was not speeding. It's a 25-mile-an-hour spot. The car just rolled right on through. Like, it actually, judging by the speed of the car, they would have probably had to be at least a little bit over the line to even make it into the frame when they did. And again, that's my judgment. I was at least willing to, if the judge said, "Officer, did you see them, outside of the intersection prior, when the light turned red?" If he said yes, like, okay, that's at least a he said, she said. But all the officer did, literally, he said, "Your Honor, I referenced the video." All he kept saying was the video, the video, the video. And to your point, okay, maybe that's better training, but there was nothing actually like in what's on an official record for the court. There was no actual proof that this actually happened. And I think a proper defense, this person defended themselves, would have said, hey, you can't actually prove that I ran this red light by statute. And I didn't like that the judge was at least so dismissive of it. And I watched 4 cases before this one. The judge basically saw the accused person and was basically judging them on site.
So
He
why
was
are you
obviously
holding
doing this.
why are you holding the
I'm
defendant to a different standard of articulation than you are the prosecution? Because the defendant didn't say, "Did you witness this? Did you
because
see it?" You're letting them get away with not articulating well. But
the defendant, the judge was asking the questions. The defendant could not question the.
Well, no, but you had a chance to describe the incident and say what happened. That's part of
I
the thing.
didn't.
No, but
I wasn't.
the defendant did. A part of those hearings is tell me what happened, and the officer says what happened, and then okay, you sir, tell me what happened.
Yeah,
And
well,
then
the
the other person.
defendants just said, "I don't believe I ran the red light. I believe I was already advancing into the intersection."
Okay, so he didn't articulate well enough what was going on. So why is it okay that he didn't articulate it well? And
Because innocent till proven guilty, literally. You have to prove guilt. You cannot assume guilt.
and an officer witnessed him doing this, and that counts as evidence, and that's proof in the court of law.
Well, but here's my thing. Private citizen says, "I do not believe I ran the red light. I believe that I was in the intersection when the light turned red."
Okay, that's often not enough. If a yellow light exists for a reason, and you can articulate someone's intent to run a red light by them not slowing down for a yellow light, you are by law supposed to slow down when the light turns yellow. So if you're before that intersection when the light turns yellow, and you're only barely into that, across that bar, like you said, the front tires of your car, when it turns red,
But if it's
you failed to obey the light. You still failed to obey a traffic light. And that's what the charge is probably written as. That's how it was for us. It's not failure to obey a red light. It's failure to obey a traffic light. And if the guy didn't slow down for the yellow and consequently blew through the intersection while it was red, he still violated a law
but
by not obeying the traffic light.
when the law says if any portion of the vehicle is over the white line when the light turns red, the vehicle is allowed to proceed through the intersection.
I struggle to believe that's how that law is worded.
I will try to find it. That was exactly what it said. Yes, okay. It was, and that was it. It was if any portion of the vehicle is into the intersection, which is past this heavy dividing white line for each lane, when the light turns red, they are allowed to proceed through the intersection. The rest of the vehicle is allowed to proceed through. If any portion of it is over the line, is what it said. And again, I'm viewing this, I'm the private citizen here, so I'm probably slightly biased on this side. But in my mind, if a private citizen says, I don't think I ran the red light, and a cop says, I think you did, then I'm still innocent until the cop proves that I did actually run the red light. And if the cop is only referencing the video and the video doesn't actually show the actual, what am I trying to say here? The actual burden of proof by the statute is the car has to be completely behind that white line when the light turns red. If the video doesn't prove that and the cop doesn't offer anything beyond the video, the cop hasn't actually proven anything contrary to what I've said. And based on innocent until proven guilty concept, I'm still innocent. You can believe with your whole heart that maybe I'm actually guilty, but you got to prove it, man. That's the whole point.
But your definition of proof is not the legal standard. You're applying your personal definition of proof instead of the legal standard.
No, the legal standard is you have to prove that I committed the violation. And if it's not referenced on video and the officer is only referencing the video as his testimony.
If I'm trying to figure out how to address that because that was such a stupid statement that I want to be generous. I want to be nice and generous.
Like, wait, my statement was stupid or yours?
Yes, yours.
Why?
Because you're trying to prove a traffic violation like beyond a shadow of a doubt, and that's not the threshold for that in the traffic.
But the cop is accusing.
Stop. I'm trying to talk about this through. Yes, the cop is accusing.
Fine.
And the cop
I didn't realize this was going to turn into our discussion tonight, but
I didn't either. The cop is presenting evidence in court, and the evidence in court is that I saw this person do this thing, and I have video evidence of this person doing this thing.
The evidence is the cops saying they saw it.
That counts as evidence, yes.
Okay, it does. I'm just being clear. The cop says.
That is a form of evidence that is accepted in court.
Cool.
If you offer that and you have video evidence and the video evidence looks like this person probably did that, then you've now got two supporting pieces of evidence. And that generally is going to be enough to convict someone of a minor crime, a traffic violation. If their only defense is, no, I didn't, then yes, that is sufficient to prove they probably did that.
So it sounds like we're still saying the same thing. So cop says, I saw them do this. Mm. Defendant says, yeah, I don't think I did it. So where are we at right now? Like on a canceling each other out, plus or minus kind of thing?
That is all the evidence we have, is that what we're saying? There's no more evidence? The officer says, I witnessed this, and the person says no?
Right now we're at a wash.
No, that's not how that works.
That's not how it works? So a cop can accuse, and when a person says, no, I didn't.
The officer's testimony, if there is no other evidence, is going to be of a higher evidentiary weight than that of the person being accused. Yes.
Why? Is there any actual legal basis for this? Because
there is legal basis for that. You want to go look at the Brady laws that had to do with an officer witnessing something and talking to something being considered evidentiary. But that's part of why they go through training and take the oaths that they go through and have the accountability laws above them. Everyone else just laughed. But there are accountability laws in place for police officers, whether you believe it or not. Those things exist so that a police officer's testimony in court can be used as evidence. That's what it is. It is a witness statement and evidence.
But so I guess, again, this is a stupid person trying to parse this through with you now. Mm-hmm. If the officer's testimony is evidence, the defendant's testimony is evidence too, correct?
It is, but it is of a lower evidentiary weight.
So now why is that the case when we put so much weight on the innocent until proven guilty? Is innocent until proven guilty just a fancy catchphrase that people throw around? Like, here's a good example.
No.
You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. Actually, yes, you can, because that was a bad example used by a guy on the losing opinion on a Supreme Court case. Is it like that where we say innocent until proven guilty, but that's actually not true? Or if a cop says, no, you're guilty and you don't have anything else to back it up, then you're screwed? Like, what's the case here?
You're screwed if you have nothing to back it up, yes. But that's where...
What if your backup is, I disagree? Like, the cop's saying, I think you did it, and I'm saying, no, I didn't. I really am curious here. No video. Let's pretend there's no video. Cop comes in and says he ran the red light, and I say, Your Honor, I don't believe I ran the red light. Mm-hmm. What happens?
You're found guilty. If there's nothing else, you're found.
Why?
For the same reason that if I say I caught this guy speeding and I wrote him a ticket, and he says I wasn't speeding, Your Honor, he's not let off. It's the same exact situation. Because anybody who's accused, if they can just be found not guilty by saying I didn't do it, then no one's ever going to get charged for anything unless they're.
But then the cop would have a speedometer reading, and the cop would have,
How do you bring that to court? That's not something you've got recorded. You shoot someone with a radar gun, or you shoot it with a LiDAR. You're still saying, I tracked this person using a LiDAR and moving this fast.
Stupid man question again. Cop sees me, hates my guts personally, decides to say I was speeding, but he's actually a jackass and he's full of shit.
Yep.
What's my recourse?
You may not have one unless you very intelligently defend yourself.
How do I intelligently defend myself when I'm literally driving along? I'm driving along and he just says you were speeding. And I go, no, I wasn't, dude. What's my defense?
You don't really have one. You record that and you go ahead. What you might be able to do, depending on your car, is you can go into the computer system in your car. It tracks your speed. It tracks all sorts of different metrics. If you can get that downloaded and bring it to court, and say, look, I had this downloaded by, and you got to go take it to someone who knows what they're doing with this, obviously. You can't just print something off. You say, I can prove
Right.
to you that on this date, the computer on my car says I never went above this speed. And you've got something like that. That's probably
From
what
this
it's for.
time to this time on this date when
Right.
he's claiming.
Right.
So
That's probably what you would need to do. But otherwise, that's why it is so important that we can trust the integrity of police officers. That's why it makes the good ones so mad when a bad one does something unethical and doesn't work.
like
Because
arresting DUI people with no
yes,
DUIs.
yes, or any kind of misdemeanor lie that they tell that gets someone arrested. The Brady laws actually exist. We had an officer in Newport News who was caught lying in court, and he was not allowed to effect arrests anymore because his testimony couldn't be trusted in court. The prosecuting attorneys would not back up anything that he made for an arrest. So the department was like, sorry, we can't have you on the street arresting people because no prosecuting attorney will trust you. No prosecuting attorney will take your case.
Right. So you're worthless,
So
basically,
you're
because any
worthless. So
arrest you
they,
make is not going to be backed up.
right.
Yeah.
And so he was, and this, I say all this, I shouldn't be saying it this flippantly because this is all a rumor. I don't know that that's what really happened with this guy. It's all just a rumor that we were
Sometimes those
told.
rumors are more trustworthy than others.
Knowing this person the way that I do, I wouldn't be shocked if this was true. But they put him in training and they left him in training for a long, long time. And there are issues with that too. But that's why it's important that an officer can be trusted in a situation, that they don't violate their word, that we have high standards for them, because their word in court, something they witness, is evidence. Otherwise, nobody would ever get written a speeding ticket. Nobody would ever get arrested for domestic abuse because partners don't ever want to turn their partner in and admit they got slapped. They never show up to court. And every time you showed up and broke up a fight by yourself for domestic abuse and arrested someone, the guy would be like, I didn't do it. And you'd be like, yes, he did. And they would let him go. So the officer's testimony has to have more weight than just the average person, simply because otherwise nobody would ever get punished for their crimes. They would all just say, I didn't do it. And unless you have video evidence, they're all going to walk away.
See, I do actually. Okay, so this is educational for me, I suppose, because you seem like a trustworthy guy.
I fooled you.
I don't know. We just met.
Yes.
But that, to me, that implies actually, no, you're not innocent until proven guilty. It actually implies that you actually have to work to maintain your innocence. You actually have to put effort into it in at least certain cases. Well, but see, here's my thing. To me, the extra evidence for the cop is the dash cam, is the body cam, is the whatever else. But it does have to. It makes sense for me with speeding. If you could show on a dash cam the speeding, or at least have something where it's like LinkedIn where you kind of have the dash cam registering with the video at the same time, and those are kind of all connected together from a data stream. Like I could see that.
You just think they have unlimited budgets and technology. I never once had a dash camera in my car, not once. And I was a modern police officer. I had a body cam for the end of my time, but for the first 2.5, 3 years, I didn't have a body.
Pushed by people
right.
who
right.
ended up probably.
But as recently as 2013, 2014, I had never had a body camera unless you count the one that's attached to my taser when I use that.
But see,
I don't have a body camera.
The joke, though,
is
that this stuff is there and available.
But it's still expensive.
Well, yes, but it's not like out of. I don't think a lot of these things are out of ordinary. At least when they're not new technologies.
No, you're talking about getting one that integrates radar into it and displays the speed and has that all tied into one data stream.
No,
that's
I'm not talking about
wild.
I'm not talking about the camera registering it. I'm talking about if you have a radar gun and you have a camera and they're both plugged into the same car. Why can't the computer just be saying, "Oh, this is what this is saying," and "Oh, this is what this is doing," and they were happening at the same time? That's it. You just have a timestamp on each one. That doesn't require any actual real integration. It's literally just a timestamp integration.
I'm dealing with this with my job right now, and it's not just a timestamp integration. That is time synchronized formatted data that has to be retrievable and timestamped and calibrated, and you're going to need to be able to prove.
Why can't they both just run against the clock in the car? Why can't you just tell the code to be like, what does the clock say on the car?
Because that's not an accurate source of timing.
But
that clock is not configured. In order to do that, what you need for that clock to do.
Hold on.
No, I'm just saying, you're misunderstanding how that clock works, though.
Well, you're saying that the clock could be wrong, but I'm saying that is perfectly acceptable for synchronizing these two data points to show that these two data points happen at the same time, even no matter when they were.
If you can get them, you're talking about if you have them both displayed on both devices?
No,
Like,
I'm just saying, like, if they're plugged into the car.
it
Again,
doesn't
maybe.
it doesn't work that way with the clock, Doug. The clock has to send data packets that go to both devices, and it has to collect data to fill empty spots in those packets. And they have to go through a loop and return to the clock somewhere for processing. And they have to get processed, and they have to get stored, and they have to be synchronized and compared. And you have to calculate that these were sent by the same source, went to these places, were retrieved by the clock, and it's accurate. That's a timing loop that mechanism doesn't exist in your cop car. That's the kind of stuff we deal with on submarines. And that's the kind of thing that we deal with data collection. That doesn't exist in a cop car. A cop car has a dashboard clock. The radar doesn't have a clock, and it doesn't plug into a clock. It doesn't plug into a computer. The radar is a handheld device or one that's mounted in the car. It doesn't even tell you what car is going that fast when you're on a radar. What a radar does is it gives you the speed of the fastest moving vehicle in a group of vehicles, or if there's just one. And then you have to visually look up and be like, which one of these is moving that much faster than the others? It doesn't tell you which car is going that fast. A LiDAR will. With a LiDAR, you sight through it, kind of like a gun, through a lens, and you bing a laser off of someone's license plate or the front of their car, and it bounces back, and you get an exact speed for that vehicle. But there's no clock in there. It's not plugged into a computer. It's a handheld device. It's not built into the car in any way. That's not how that works. So you're operating under a lot of assumptions with the technology that are just not how it works. That's the issue.
Why can't my radar gun plugged into my USB port in my cop car?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, keep going.
Sorry, are you done rolling your eyes yet?
No, I'm not.
I'll wait. Okay.
No, I'm not. Go ahead and keep not listening to a single word I say. Keep going. It's fine.
I heard what you said, but you're making it sound like the cop car needs to be some integrated computer, whatever, interacting with everything. And again, this is stupid Doug. This is stupid private citizen just asking, I think, reasonable questions because I'm supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Why can't my radar gun plugged into my USB port on my cop car say, hey, the clock in this car that when I was taking readings said 5:46 p.m. Let's pretend the clock's
because it doesn't plug into your car. I've said that twice. The radar gun does not plug into your car. It is a handheld device that is separate. It's battery operated. It doesn't plug into anything.
What? Okay. So why? Okay. No, don't laugh. You're doing the thing where you're like, well, this is this way and this is this way, so it can't work. And I'm saying, okay, if it's battery operated, why can't we just make it? Why can't we have it plug into the car with a USB port? Why can't we just make it partially powered from the USB port?
Plugging it in for power doesn't solve your problem.
Well, I'm getting to that.
In order to do more, you need to change the radar gun. You need the computer in your car to provide this data.
A power source is not that hard to change. And
you're not adding a power source. You're adding a part of the radar gun that communicates back to the computer and sends and receives data and does more than what it does.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think you have to do this. You're not listening to me now, sir.
All right, good.
Let's pretend I'm going to make a really stupid scenario. Let's pretend it's 9 in the morning, 9 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
But podunk police officer doesn't give a shit about his cop car clock, and it actually shows like 2 p.m.
Sure.
And he just doesn't care.
Yep.
But he does know that he'll get in trouble if, when he's clocking people with his radar gun, he isn't plugging it into the USB drive in his car because that's just what company policy says to do.
Boy, we're just making up assumptions here. Okay.
Well, okay, but I am making some assumptions. I'm doing the thing again where I'm talking about why in 2025 we can't make this really fucking stupid proof.
So in your assumption, I want to make sure I understand. The radar gun is not the radar gun that I'm thinking of now.
Correct.
This is one that's designed to work.
A slightly redesigned radar gun that's
a smartphone radar gun. We'll say it's a smartphone.
Not even a smartphone. It's a radar gun that plugs into the car's USB port. Okay. And one thing it does is it pulls the timestamp on the dashboard of the car, whether it's right or not.
Right. That's what it's taking as its timestamp. Okay.
Right. And it clocks the car and it says, oh, I saw this go at 2 p.m. today. And we know the clock's fucking wrong. You know, like, let's pretend we just know where,
there's a
Deus
7 hour difference.
We know it's wrong.
Right. Yeah.
But then the computer, that the cop's also using in the car is also plugged into the car. And it says, well, when the cop logged this ticket, it was 2 p.m. on this day or whatever. Those two devices you can synchronize and say, Even if this clock was fucking wrong, we know that these things are together. They happen together. To me, that's good enough evidence to show like one thing and the other thing, like the cop's word and this ticket and the reading on the radar gun are now all synchronized together, even if the actual timing that the cop's reporting is incorrect. To me, just saying, yeah, I saw it in a video is not good enough because a video could be a different time or whatever, and it doesn't synchronize with the cop's testimony. That's what I'm trying to get at here. These things can be done without having the cop car communicate back and forth and loop constantly with multiple devices. It could just be taking a reading, and as long as you can prove that that reading came from vehicle VX271, it's easy. Like it's just literally a timestamp. It doesn't have to
How
actually be a communication. You
how
know
are
what I
you
mean?
proving that? How are you proving that it came from vehicle VXZ 2001?
Well, don't cop cars have identifiers?
No.
You don't paint it on the side of the car.
Oh, no. I mean, like
Cops don't have
I thought you meant the
cop cars
car
don't
you were
have VIN
writing.
numbers.
I thought you meant the car you were writing a ticket for. You
No,
were
no,
identifying.
no, 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 no,
Okay,
no.
so
I
then
just
that brings
no.
back to my initial problem with this. Okay, good, perfect. Then that's fine. Yes, assuming we have this technology that interfaces, and again, you have to invent this technology because we don't have it right now. So
Well, I mean,
you
yeah, but
should go
honestly,
do.
it doesn't seem like it's that fucking hard. People invent shit all the time, but that's like more complex than this. Like, oh, let's make the radar guard plug in and just say what the time is on the car. I mean, every dealership has a fucker that they plug into the engine that runs diagnostics and tells you every fucking thing you ever want to know about that vehicle. Like, it shouldn't be that hard to have something that plugs in and goes, what time does it say?
Can I talk now? Is it okay if I finish like a single sentence or
Hold on, you have to wait for me to finish rolling
okay?
my eyes.
Yep, go finish rolling your eyes, and maybe I'll get through one sentence at some point here. I don't know. I wouldn't bet on it.
You got through plenty of sentences.
No,
Go ahead.
you've
It'll
literally
cut
cut
off
me
your
off
time.
like 80% of my sentences tonight. It's been over the top crazy. You've been more ridiculous than usual with this tonight.
Over the top crazy.
Yes, over the top crazy.
All right, fine. All right,
Okay,
fine.
so one, that technology does not exist as you've described it right now.
All right.
That's
Keep
the very
putting
simple
down
answer.
the common man in your
It's
tomahawk.
almost like I called this. Good grief.
No, I wanted to get up to 82%. I am not a gentleman's B, sir.
You're
I'm at
well
least
over
a B
82.
plus.
You're well over 82. Okay, there, you're happy. The technology does not exist is the simple answer. If you want that technology to just go invent that and make it affordable and sell it and get rich, that's the answer. Go do that. Build that system and you'll be rich. But the simple answer is no, that technology does not exist that way right now. It's not something that's done that way. The slightly more nuanced answer to this is even in your scenario where I've got my radar hooked up and it's plugged into, I'm going to say the laptop in my car, because that seems to make more sense to me than like the car itself. So is that acceptable that I plug it on the laptop or do you need this to be in the car? I feel like the laptop's okay.
I mean, the laptop's probably okay.
I think it makes more
as
sense
long
because
as
it's more capable of doing the things. But
I suppose. I mean,
okay.
to me, it's not, if the laptop is part of your evidence, it would be better if they each had a separate external thing to because that now if your baseline's always a laptop, of course it's going to line up with the laptop. Does that make sense?
Then we'll do it with the car then to keep it in line with your example. Yeah. So it's in the car. The car is communicating a clock to my radar. My radar is storing the clock.
I'm running the faces you're making. You're like, this is fucking stupid, but I'm saying it out loud anyway.
Yes. Well, I mean, the technology part is not, because you're right. This is all feasible. We should have something that does this. The fact that we don't comes down to spending. It comes down to money. That's what it comes down to.
Well, and motivation. Let's face it. It's all just motivation too. Like if some major lawsuit came through that shafted a police department that could be fixed by this, every department would have it in like fucking 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's kind of what we saw with body cameras. So that makes sense.
Right. Exactly.
But, so say you've got this thing situated and the radar is tracking time and it's got clock. And I'm running my radar and my radar says, bing, 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 85 miles an hour. And I'm shooting my radar into a 35 mile an hour zone. Okay. So I got someone going 50 miles an hour over the legal limit. That's, oh baby, that's, I'm not just arresting you. Your car's getting impounded. You're going to jail for real reckless driving. And there's probably something else going on for you to be going that fast. And I look up and I'm trying to see, it's 2 a.m. I think we said, right? Did you say 9 a.m.? Let's
Sure.
make it 2 a.m. to make it. Let's make it 2 a.m.
I
because
was
that's more what
saying
I would
9
do.
a.m. and 2 p.m. I was using something where it's daylight both times and, idiot cop just has a wrong clock.
So,
Like, I was saying it doesn't have to be true to actual time was
so
sort of
since
my
I was a
point.
midnight shift officer, we're gonna make it 2 a.m. because that's more of what I knew and more of what I saw. So I can speak more to that than the day shift guys. So we'll say it's 2 a.m. Okay.
Okay.
And I look up and I got someone doing 85 and a 35. And it turns out what I see ahead of me is a pack of cars coming down the road. And there's actually like 3 or 4 of them. And they're all dark and they're all racers. And a couple of them are racing. And one of them looks like he's just trying to get out of the way as they're street racing around him. How do I articulate based on the computation and the radar and then the clock stamp, the timestamp I have on this? How do I say, yep, it was that car going 85 miles an hour? How do I do that?
How do
How does
you
that solve my
say
problem?
that? How do you say that right now without this extra synchronization in your favor? I would
I
like.
base it on what I see. It's
Okay,
okay.
well,
This
right. So,
car,
so
this car appeared to be moving faster than the others, and my radar tracked one of these cars going at 85. The one that I
okay,
saw moving faster than the others was this one, and
okay.
that's how I identify that car right now.
All in for the record, not to be condescending when I say this,
Hmm?
but I am trying to make things up in my head that build the case in favor of officers
Sure,
because I'm trying to overcome the innocent until proven guilty thing. If you're guilty, we need to really show how guilty you are. That's my take here. So right now, you as an officer are saying, I saw this car. It looked like it was moving faster. It lines up with what I saw on my radar gun.
hmm.
All I'm saying is now you say the same shit, but now your radar gun is synchronized with the time on your dashboard, which is also synchronized with when you gave the ticket.
But at
That's all.
the
Like
end,
I'm just adding more to your pile. Like it doesn't
and I
change your
get that
testimony.
it does though, because
How?
it gives the defense something else to attack in my testimony. It gives them more things that they can attack that they can make me defend. Well, okay, so
So
when was the last time you had the clock in your car calibrated? When was the last time you had your radar gun USB cable checked? When was the last time you had the radar gun calibrated? You have to answer questions about radar gun and LiDAR calibration on trial anyway. Now you're introducing, well, now I have to talk to my car being accurate and then the clock being, the clock connection being satisfactory. The last time I checked to make sure it was reading the time correctly. If it turns out I haven't checked to make sure it was stamping the time correctly in the last 3 months, oh, well, you've got slippage. How do I know that's the right car? Oh, you're right. Well, now you've introduced a way for someone to get off on a technicality. So you're
Jesus,
adding more
Orca.
things. So you're adding more things the defense can attack. And at the end of the day, even with all this stuff on there, the single most important factor is still I saw this car doing it. That's how I determined which of these 3 cars was the speed racer. At the end of the day, that's the most important identifying evidence. So if that's what is important, why am I not using that? Why
Well,
are you
here's my
adding other
impasse.
things that have to be involved?
Well, here's my impasse then, because it sounds like you're arguing, to me, one way to interpret what you're saying is we need to take away the things that corroborate the cop's testimony.
That's not what I'm saying, but
I know that's I
I
know
understand
that's not
that's
what you're
why it
saying.
sounds like that.
It's
Yeah,
like
I get that.
saying, "Hey, we need to make sure that there's fewer things to challenge the cop on so that when the cop says something, it's more likely to get a conviction."
That's what it sounds
That's
like. Yep, I get that.
that's one way to interpret it. So, and I mean, I guess maybe this is just me being me, but oh, when was the last time you calibrated your USB cord? Okay, when was the last time you checked the fucking battery? Or when was the
That's
last time you checked the clock? Okay, it doesn't matter whether the clock was right or not. The whole point is that it's
oh
synchronized with the other stuff.
no, it matters in a court of law because
Well,
they need to make sure that is being transferred correctly, that your
I
clock is
mean,
calibrated at the right
you could
time.
argue that, well, the cop had his clock obviously at the wrong time of day. It was 5 hours off. So how can we trust anything else this cop does because he was managing the car? Okay. And maybe my problem is the whole system because to me, if I was the judge and I heard someone be like, well, how do you know? Okay, well, like, fuck off, dude. Like,
You're not allowed to do that unless you're this Judge McGinnis numbnuts. You're not allowed to do that. I saw a guy walk on
I mean, if I'm the
scenario that
judge,
I gave you.
I
Almost
mean,
the
I'm the judge. Like, that's what I'm trying to say, though. As the judge, like, okay, the clock was wrong, but so what? That's not substantial to what he's actually saying.
Well,
Like, uh,
it is if you can't prove that the clock lines up with the thing because maybe it's a calibration issue and maybe you've got different clock data you're trying to pass off that lined up with a different stop because it wasn't calibrated. Maybe that's it. I saw a guy walk one time because an officer didn't bring tuning fork calibration sheets to his traffic trial. He didn't bring the sheets that showed that he had calibrated tuning forks with which to test his radar before his shift. The defense attorney said, "Did you check your radar gun before your shift?" And the officer said, "Yes, I made sure it was calibrated correctly and it was within the standard." He said, "How did you do it?" "Well, we were trained to do it with tuning forks, and we use a resonance with tuning forks to make sure it's operating correctly and it's reading correctly." "Okay, who checks the tuning forks?" He said, "Oh, we have someone from the department I forgot what the period of time was. They have to have them calibrated and verify they're still functioning correctly." So, okay, where's your proof of that? He goes, "Well, I've got the sign-off sheet at the beginning of the night." "Great. Where are the sheets that show the tuning forks were calibrated to spec in a certain period of time?" "Well, I don't have those." And the guy got to walk because this guy didn't have calibration sheets for tuning forks he used to check a radar gun before his shift started on a night where he got a guy going like 45 miles per hour over the speed limit in a public area. They
Was it
really do
saved on
care
the
about crap like this in court. This is a real thing.
Okay. Was it saved on a police computer
The calibration sheets
that he didn't bring to court?
that he didn't bring what to
Right.
court. I think I missed something.
The calibration sheets that he did not bring to court, were they on a police station computer?
Yes, they were probably on they were saved to a laptop somewhere, I'm sure.
Great. Pull them up on the cloud that every fucking municipality should have right now so we can present them to the court. The court can find it. It's restricted access. You know it's a tried and true or conforming copy. Done. See, this is what I mean.
Solvable. That would make sense.
This is very solvable. Do you have them? Oh, no, shit. Sorry, I forgot to print the fucking off and bring it to you, Your Honor, with the other 80 things I have to bring. Oh, that's fine. Let's just bring it up on the fucking secure court system that we have with all of our evidence, with our police filings.
But this is how our system works. Like all these things you're saying are fixable is
so
great.
Fucking easy. It's really, especially with cloud data is so fucking cheap now. This is easy. My God. And you have statutes of limitations too. You can like roll off stuff 5 years old, 7 years old, whatever. Easy peasy. And if you put the wrong tag on it and it should have a longer statute of limitations, but get deleted after 3 years when it should have been 10 years, that's your fucking problem, officer. Sorry about your luck.
I love that Ivory Tower Doug has now moved into like law enforcement and the judicial system. And it's I know things don't work this way, but they should and they can. So I'm mad that they don't. And even though I'm wrong about the stuff that I said, it should be right. So I'm right. I love this Ivory Tower Doug.
Well, hold on. The last part I'll take issue with.
Sure.
Am I saying things that are unreasonable?
You're saying things that are incorrect. Not unreasonable, but incorrect.
Right. If they're incorrect now, would some of the changes I'm offering, given some consulting and like here's why exactly the way you want it won't work, sir. Like if you made me king for a day, wouldn't these be helpful?
Yes, they would. I'm not saying your thoughts are wrong. I wish we had these things you're talking about. Yes, I wish we had these things.
That's kind of my thing. Like, if
but
we really
don't. And you're saying
people
should be let off the hook because we don't have them, and that's not how this works.
Well, okay, but fair. But that's
my whole crux.
No, okay, I know that's the whole crux here. But what I'm saying is, if we actually are going to treat justice in our system correctly, then it's up to the justice system to do what they need to do to maintain those guilt beyond reasonable doubt kinds of things. The easy, lazy man's shortcut is to say, well, the police officer's testimony means more than jackass private citizen over here. But me, the jackass private citizen, really doesn't like that arrangement, especially when it's 2025. This is not an unreasonable thing to implement.
But you, jackass ordinary citizen, can go to court and you can say you didn't do a thing and you can lie about a thing and not add additional charges onto yourself when you do it. Whereas an officer gets in court, if he lies about something in court and gets caught, there are severe repercussions and he can lose his job and he may never get another job and he can go to jail. So there are things hanging over his head that...
You're right, but with Uncle Ben principle, with great power comes great responsibility. When you get into a court of law, the more the responsibility lies with the officer, lies with the prosecutor, lies with the judge. The judge too. I'm putting the judge in this also. Jackass private citizen. No, the judge absolutely has. The judge has the most power.
He has the most power, but it's a very different sort of power than what I think the prosecutor and the police.
Well, you're right. They are different powers, but to me, the judge's power is most in this scenario.
I agree.
So they do have the greatest responsibility from that sense too.
Yes. Okay, I agree with that. Yep.
Jackass private citizen does not have the extra power. They did not ask for any extra power like someone who applies to become police officer, like someone who signs up to run an election for a judge. So in one sense, the burden should fall higher on the people who actually accepted the responsibility. So that's why the whole, like, if it's literally a he said, she said, I feel like the higher responsibility needs a little bit more than just I said it.
But you're
I
saying
understand in the real world that that's not how the world works, and that realistically,
right.
jackass private citizen literally pick any random person off the street. They are just more likely to be less trustworthy than any random officer. I get that. But our justice system is not set up to be that. Our justice system is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. And
then
I don't
nobody's
like
ever guilty.
that's not true. 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 I'm going to say it more times to make it more true. You ready?
Okay, go ahead.
It's
So
not.
that's fine.
It's not true.
So,
Done.
so we've got a fundamental disagreement here. When you
Yeah,
say
we
with great
do.
power comes great responsibility, I agree with
Uncle
that.
Ben dies for that shit.
Yep, the Spider fan in me agrees with that. But what you're also doing is you're trying to hold that officer to that greater responsibility without the greater power. When you say that, but his testimony shouldn't be weighted more. That's the greater power, is that his testimony is weighted more. And that's why he has more responsibility. When you're saying it shouldn't be weighted anymore, then you're removing that officer of that extra power. And therefore, you're also taking away responsibility and validating your whole argument.
What you said in a vacuum is true. Allow me to say that on our recorded podcast line. But being an officer in this scenario also automatically assumes you have the tools in place to make your accusation.
Yes.
You did not. You have the radar gun. You have my stupid off-brand clock idea. You have the
You don't have that. No.
that's
Now you're taking a leap, though. Now you're leaping from what we have to what you want us to have. You're taking a leap. These are two different discussions, I think, that we're trying to have. You're bleeding one into the other. We're talking about how the system works, but then you're also now saying,
okay, well, should we
got
talk
this
about
fancy
how
radar
the system,
gun that doesn't work? Like,
should we talk about how the system works, or should we talk about Ivory Tower Doug's because what you were accusing Ivory Tower Doug right now of saying, well, if it's he said, she said, you're removing the officer's power. I feel like you were accusing Ivory Tower Pie in the Sky Doug for a second there. That's what I was responding to. Are you responding to Doug as it is right now, or are you responding to Doug how Doug wants things to be?
I thought I was responding to Doug as it is right now, but I'm realizing that we've got some bleed through here. And
because
maybe you were talking about how it was how you would like it to be.
Yeah,
I actually agree with.
Because I was saying if you want the officer's testimony to matter more than the private citizen, you need to support that. And you need to support that with not just a social contract. You need to support that with at least one or two more synchronous or whatever kinds of tools. So I'm not trying to, I'm in my mind, the way things should be.
And not
if
the
you're
way they are.
going right, the way they are, the officer's word means more. And real world, that's, a safe assumption. But if it is a safe assumption, the way things should be, let's support that.
Okay. If all the listeners are confused right now, I was for a minute as well, but I think we're there. I think we're good.
I'm still
We've sussed this out. So then let's back it up and make it a little simpler then. Your friend with the moving violation.
Right. So to me, the way things are right now, if it's a strictly he said, she said, I got to see real world, real time that the officers he said was better than the defendants he said.
Sure. So talking about that violation.
And in my little ideal world, Doug, there was no actual evidence to support the officer. When I see this officer and the way he's chuckling and everything like that on the sidelines leading up to this with all the other defendants who I actually thought at least, were having a rough day in their lives, and the officers were like having a grand old fucking time on the side, not taking shit seriously, by the way. I saw a judge who was constantly favoring the officer even when there was no additional evidence. And for me as a private citizen, I did not like that, because I imagined if I was the one I realized very quickly that unless I was proactively like monitoring myself prior to an offense, I maybe had no recourse in a similar situation. And that upset me, because I am under the impression that I am allowed to, this is America. Like, I'm allowed to do my stuff and kind of be presumed innocent. And I was suddenly very aware that a shitty officer could make my life annoying and I had no recourse. So I think, unlike a regular citizen would say, those fucking cops, those fucking jackasses, they can say whatever they want and get away with it. I was thinking the opposite. I was saying, let's make these cops truth tellers. Let's show to the powers that be that the cops really do have a case. Let's do everything in our power to support the cops' case so that the private citizen that actually is innocent but may not have recourse because that's just not what they do on a daily basis is still fine. So it's a blend of how I wish things would be versus how things are, I guess, if you really want to say it that way. I saw a video that how do I say this?
The video for you was exculpatory in nature.
The
It was evidence that proved your friend was innocent and not evidence that proved he was guilty. That's what you saw in the video.
Not even that. The video did not contribute at all to the cop's testimony. It was fluff.
Okay.
After the video, it was still a he said, she said scenario to me.
Okay.
And if you actually weighed what the state statute said, to me, the video could actually, like you talked about, you add more things to the pile. Now you can question more things for the cop. That was kind of it for me. When the cop says, well, just look at the video, my next question, if I was a defense attorney, would be, well, Ohio statute says that the vehicle has to be at least beyond the white line, and then they're allowed to proceed through the red light. Where on this video does it show that the light was red when the vehicle was fully behind the line? But no one ever said that.
And so this is why the officer's testimony has to count as evidence. You just gave me the perfect example of why the officer's testimony has to be worth more than yours.
Well, right, but
can I explain this stuff before you? I know you got stuff to take notes,
Fair.
But let me explain why what you said is the proof that an officer's testimony should be worth more than yours. Ohio State Statute 4511 is the one that covers red signals, steady red signals. That's what it covers. Okay. 4511.13 specifically says when facing a steady red signal, it must stop at a clearly marked stop line. If there is no stop line, then the crosswalk. If no crosswalk, then before entering the intersection. And it goes on and on and on. It does not say anything about the vehicle being exempt to it if it is already partly or fully across the stop sign or stop line when the light changes from green or yellow to red. There is no provision across the line giving automatic permission to complete entry into the intersection. Generally, the way it is interpreted is that you must stop before it is red unless turning is allowed and you first stop and yield and blah, 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 like you know. When you get down into the actual readings of it, it says if any part of the vehicle is not yet past the stop sign when the light turned red and the vehicle moves forward, that is violating law. It is considered entering the zone on red. So if any part of the vehicle is not above it. And what you basically said was that the front tires were across, it's okay. If your part of the vehicle is ahead of this thing, it's okay. Your state statute does not say that anywhere. You said the code says that. The state statute does not say that anywhere in that code. That's 4511.13.
You said 4511.13?
Yep.
Because I'm looking at it right now. Okay, so
Nothing in there says that you're allowed to do that. But by your interpretation, it does.
Let's get into technicalities here. So, first of all, this is effective June 30th, 2025. The event I'm referencing is like 6 years ago.
These get adapted every year. They very seldom change them, but they have to adapt them every year by the city charter. So you're always going to have.
I understand that. The part you just said, is it specifically on the 4511-13?
Part of it is 13. Part of it's in the rest of the statute. But the part that I mentioned was the 13. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what you said was, where is it? See, this is steady red, steady yellow. Okay. Because you said when the vehicle is, at or behind that marker, when it's red, they shall not proceed forward.
Yes. That's legal opinion on 4511.
Is it? Where is it? Because that's I want to look at it. To be fair, I want to look at it. But what I'm hearing is that, okay, what if it's not fully behind it? That's what I was kind of getting at. What if the front of the vehicle is already transgressed beyond that line and now it's red? I mean, it may not specifically say that in the code, but if the code
Yes.
says when
So
it's
you need to
red
look
and
up the
you're behind the
definition.
line.
Look up the definition for entering the zone on red, because if any part of your vehicle is not yet past the stop sign when the light turns red and you then move forward, you are violating the law. You'd be entering on red. That's the legal opinion regarding that state statute.
But you have to
I need to
be
go
on
find
or
that code.
behind, right? But you need to be
Any
on or
part
behind that
of your
line.
vehicle has not yet passed the line, it says.
Right. And that's sorry. So, okay, good that you're bringing this up because I was not saying that, oh, the code says you're fine. I was saying that based on what the code says, if you're beyond that line, you're allowed to continue moving forward because the code says that if you're behind it, you have to stop.
But I think when you back this up, what you heard was that a part of what I heard you say, and we'll see when we replay the episode, obviously, was that if a part of the car is ahead of that line, then the state code says you are not guilty. I think that is what you said. Like I
No,
remember
that's
taking
not what.
notes,
Well, I was.
and we'll go back and listen later. But
Well, to be fair, let me explain. I will try to explain that. I'm not saying that the code says, "Well, you're not guilty." I'm saying that in my memory from multiple years ago now, that the code basically said you're allowed to continue through if it changes when you are already over that line. Like if it's yellow, you're over the line, it changes to red, the vehicle is allowed to continue through the intersection. That is what I have in my memory. It could be that I filled that in. I'm willing to allow that I could have filled that in where if the code says, hey, if you're on or behind the line and it's red, you have to stop, then to me, the next logical progression is, well, if you're already ahead of the line, like logical contradiction, like if it doesn't address it, then there's no statute damning you if you finished your motion because theoretically, if you're already in the intersection and you're in motion, it makes more sense to finish your motion if there's no statute against it. If the statute doesn't say stop where you are right now, then you don't have to. Is that a fair assumption?
I think it's
That's
probably a
kind of
fair.
what I'm.
It's a fair enough
That's kind of what I'm
assumption.
thinking.
I mean, you've got enough explicit laws about entering on a yellow that you can exit on a red. It's all about what it is when you enter the zone and where you're located when you enter the zone. But the point that I was making was that in your mind, or in your words, what you had said was that they entered, part of the vehicles out of the lines. State code says that that's okay. And if your weight had the same weight as the officers, then that person would have walked away perfectly fine based on that logic. But at the end of the day, the officers had more weight because they were in compliance with the state ordinance and they knew it better than you did. That's part of why their word means more, because they've been trained for these things. They've been taught the state code. They've got state codes and statutes in their car on a computer and in a book. They've got these things to reference. And so while 9 out of every 10 people that gets arrested says, I know my rights, I know the law, they usually don't. They've got a flawed understanding of it or a heuristic of it, kind of like what you had, and they go down fighting on their fact of knowing the law when the officer usually does know it better. And that's part of why their word counts as more. It's why it's got more weight. That's all part of the reason I think they have to be more. Otherwise, a flawed understanding of the legal code would be exculpatory, and ignorance of the law is never exculpatory in nature.
Well, yes, I agree. If you're ignorant of the law, then yeah, you shouldn't be let off the hook just because you got lucky per se. But you still, in my mind, you still have to prove that.
Yes, but that's why officer testimony is proof. Like, I feel like we're going in circles now, and we've been recording a long time. I think.
It's true, we have.
I think we're going round and round in circles here. This might be a fun debate that we have as Patreon content, where we have an actual structured debate. Maybe we bring on Charles to be the moderator, bring on a patron to be the moderator, and we have an actual structured debate on this. We haven't done one of those yet, and that might be fun.
Yeah, it's true. I was just trying to find it again, because I don't expect the code to change too much. I mean, they could edit little things, but that's kind of my thing was that to me, if it's explicitly saying don't proceed if you're behind this line on a red, then if you're ahead of the line, you're allowed to proceed. Like that should be a pretty easy logical leap was kind of where I was getting at was all. And I know that I'm working off of years old stuff here, but I mean that was kind of my take was I do seem to remember explicitly finding something in the code somewhere that said if you're ahead, you may proceed through it. But maybe I just like it's easy to make these logical jumps too when you see the gap and you're like, well, obviously the code allows this because it's implied. So that was more my thing when I was watching this was the cop just said, look at the video. And I kind of remember thinking, well, the video doesn't actually explicitly state the cop's side of things. That's all. And that did kind of bother me, again, just being the private citizen that I am. And my response was to say, how can we make sure the officer's telling the truth? Because to me, that makes the most sense.
And that's the problem with the system is that we have to have an assumption that the officer is telling the truth. The system is kind of based on that to a point. When you don't have other things, that is one of the challenges of our legal system is that it is based on that. And when you have these officers who are either unethical in what they're doing or are just doing it incorrectly, both of those fly in the face of trusting that they're doing it right. And it flies in the face of what the system needs. So yes, that is a very real challenge. But if you don't operate with that assumption, then what officers can do, I mean, moving violations just don't exist anymore. Most domestic abuse goes away because
especially not after the COVID and BLM stuff too. A lot of that went away real fucking quick.
Yep.
Speaking of real world,
domestic abuse cases literally just vanish. I don't think you understand the percentage of domestic abuse victims that, actually testify against someone. No matter how low you think that number is, I assure you it's lower.
Oh, I heard it was something like 10%, 5 or 10% or something.
I'm sure it's lower. I'm sure it's lower than that. You know how many people I had that I remember showing up and actually testifying against someone after a first offense, domestic abuse? Do you know how many people no, over a 4-year period?
2.
No.
0?
1.
That's not fair. You can't do 1. No, it's got to be 0 or 7.
There was one woman. There was one.
You obviously weren't.
And I saw her. I saw her a couple of years later, and she thanked me and said that she had left him. And I remember telling her, "You are the only person to this point that ever showed up at JDR after a first domestic abuse case who actually showed up and testified against their spouse or their significant other for me. You are the first and only person that's ever done that, and you're the only one I know that's actually left them."
How many have you tried though?
Oh, I was doing multiple.
How many did you do?
Probably 4 or 5 a week.
A week?
A week, yeah.
How many years?
4 years.
Carry the one.
Yes, we're talking over 200. Yes, there were lots. No, they don't show up. If it's a repeated thing, or if you can, then sometimes they show up. If there's
it drives up the average because then it's like 50% if it's 1 out of 2.
Sure.
For that one person.
If it's a felony, if it rises to a felony in the sense that there's maiming and you've got like evidence, then you can subpoena them and you can press charges
force
without
them to come in and right. You can force them to come in or you can press it. It counts. Yeah, okay. But they probably show up to testify anyway. You get them to say something that implicates anyway.
Yep. But the vast majority of the time, if it was the first time you've been in on someone and no one is bleeding or incapacitated, if it was a single strike or it was a single choke, no one ever came and testified against baby daddy, baby mama. It just didn't happen. It was very rare.
Yeah, that always surprised me.
I put a link to Ohio laws and administrative rules, the state statutes. I put that in our chat. I'll put that in the show notes so that if anybody wants to go digging through this to help us kind of parse this out, or if Doug obsesses over this, which I think he might when we're done, he can go look things up there.
I would never do that.
The one thing I will say about that is that while most cities adapt state statutes and they just use them as their own local laws, because why would you rewrite all your own laws?
Well, a lot of cities use the state. Yeah, they just go, whatever the state says we do. Right.
They often have additional city statutes that make some things more strict, that get more specific about some things. So what you see here, just keep in mind, depending on what city you were in, there might be something slightly more specific about it too. But we'll put those in the show notes.
Yeah, I should find it. I should see if I can. Whoops. Yeah. My computer likes to minimize everything when I do a certain swipe. So.
And my guess is that you could probably do an informed search on the internet and find the state statutes for the year this happened in. And that way you could see what it actually was that year. And
I guess. God, that was a while ago. Yeah, I could probably figure out the Store Archive thing.
Yeah, I think as long as you're plus or minus probably 3 or 4 years, it's probably not changed much. I really think it's
it's probably not. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Do we have dad jokes? Oh, we got. I never gave the Bonnie Blue update. Sorry, John. Go ahead. Doug's got some.
Pause at this point. Thermostat changed. Be right back. I put it in the chat.
Doug's got to go pee.
Sorry. Thanks. We have one of those. I think so. Okay, you might know this because you had weird haunted houses.
I
Do
had, I
is
had one weird haunted house.
so more than zero,
More than zero,
which
but
is
it wasn't
which
plural.
is yeah. Well, the isn't there something you can do where you can like give your house events like a blowout, where you just get all the shit out of them or whatever? Because we have this house was built in the 80s, I think, and it just seems like the air conditioning just doesn't get to the upper level like all that great. Like it eventually works, but it's always like, 3 to 5 degrees,
Yeah.
warmer upstairs in the summer kind of thing. And
You probably need an HVAC guy or a chimney sweep to come, and they can
yeah,
clean that out appropriately and take care of that for you.
yeah, I'm willing to bet there's just some shit in there that's making the flow not work so great somehow. Cause it's just one of those like here's a good example. When it's like extra hot, we turn it down to like 67. So like the first floor is kind of like chilly, and then the second floor is like bearable,
Yeah.
and you change it 1 degree on the first level, and that can be the difference between, having a nice night of sleep or dying, sweating constantly somehow.
Yeah, I don't want you dying in your sleep. Yeah, I
Be the
would
best
call
way to go, probably.
I would call a chimney sweep or an HVAC. Probably a chimney sweep is your best bet. That's
Oh,
who I think
I
you would call.
I I know I need this. I just haven't researched it yet. It's fine. I'm
Mhm.
just I'm just wondering. I was gonna take the lazy man's way and see if you knew like right off the cuff while I had you here, but
I don't. Sorry,
no.
I'm not that smart.
Okay.
I'm not wicked smart.
No, you're not. We never even finished about the judge. We both think he's an asshole though, basically.
Yeah, I
Right.
think we actually both agree pretty firmly on that it was an abuse of power and that it's one of the most heinous abuses of power because
Yeah.
this is
I
someone
mean,
who's trusted to not do that.
yeah, we went through this whole sidebar apparently, and I was just trying to draw the conclusion of like I saw a judge that really didn't give a shit and was not even actually critically thinking about much of anything, and even he was way better than this guy. It was all I was trying to say, really.
And then, yeah,
And
that was
then,
fun.
but yeah, well, I
I
mean,
miss
so
the episodes where we do that. That's kind of
I
fun.
know, I
All right,
know. I don't,
Bonnie
I don't
Blue.
know if listeners like it. Yes, Bonnie
Probably not.
Blue.
They're probably bored and tedious
I
and
should say no, Bonnie Blue, because remember, I under protest. John, this is for you, not for me or anyone else officially.
John, you might need to buy me a cup of coffee after this one. I'm just going to go ahead and say that I had to fight to get this in here.
Per month. That's what she said.
Per month. So, in an article that was released today, John,
Ooh, my goodness.
today,
You
Bonnie
are
Blue,
welcome.
Bonnie Blue was assaulted at a nightclub last night.
With what?
Another woman punched her in the face before her
Which
security team could interrupt.
was
The one above her shoulders when she's standing vertically. Bonnie Blue is currently on a tour across the UK. She's calling it her Fresher Tour. She's been banned from. Yep.
feels more like Staler tour, but
Well,
anyway,
it's
go on.
referring to like freshmen and fresh boys who are barely legal. She's still doing that. That's still her primary target here.
Well, if you
Her
can, why wouldn't you? You don't want some like guy who's thinking.
So she's touring, I guess, all of Britain in what she calls her bang bus. It's a blue van. I just had that up here. Where's the? Oh, here we go. So you can't make this up.
Yes, you can, but it's hard.
Her vehicle of choice is a blue van, which she has affectionately named her very own Bang Bus. It's been spotted all over the country on social media as she's creating this latest project, mingling with university students. The vehicle is equipped with a bed, consent forms, and condoms as she aims to shatter records. The 9-stop tour kicked off Saturday in Glasgow and continues in London nearly 2 weeks later. Bonnie's tour across the UK to meet with barely legal freshers has seen her visit university cities all across the country and will offer interactive mini games, high-energy DJ sets, but strictly no sexual behavior. That's what she says in the same article.
But it has a
She
bed.
has a bang bus with consent forms and condoms and a bed, but there will be no sexual behavior. She was in a club doing a meetup with university students, and a woman and her friend walked up to her, and the woman told her that she was setting feminism back, that she was one of those women who's doing a disservice to women everywhere. Bonnie turned to her security
There.
and said to her security, "Get those fat fucks away from me." And the girl punched her in the face. The woman has been released. She was detained. She's been released.
I wonder how that testimony went.
I can't wait to see what happens here.
Well,
Yeah.
well, she called me a fat fuck, Your Honor. You're dismissed. That's fine. That's fair. I'll allow it.
Oh. Yeah, so that's your Bonnie Blue update. She is touring at least the country in her bang bus, and she's still targeting barely legal teens and married men. That's still who she's
I hate
targeting
to
here.
say this, but we could just do a Bonnie Blue update almost every week and have plenty to talk about.
She puts something new in the news every week. We could talk about her documentary that was done by Channel 4 that I've got links popping up for all over in this article. Apparently,
How
they
old is
aired
she
her
now?
sex documentary. Oh, she's like 26, but she looks like she's 40.
She does.
She apparently Channel 4, some local media station, aired a documentary about her and her sexual antics. Showed her nude in the documentary and played it on public television where kids could see it.
Oh, that's no
And apparently they're facing a lot of backlash because why should our kids be able to see this on public television?
backshots.
Well, I'm sure there's some of that too.
Even my background is blurred, and I don't think there's anything here.
So there's John. You're welcome. There's your Bonnie Blue update. Yeah. I'll try to keep on those for you, buddy. I'll try to keep on that Bonnie.
She has gotten herself to a point where she could legitimately call this a bang bus, just throw a couple condoms in there, throw a couple consent sheets in there, and get the publicity for it. Because then there are people like us going, "Oh yeah, sure, okay, you're not using it." She might actually not be. Like she has done the work. Pun not really intended, but maybe intended. She has done the work to build up her reputation to where she might not actually have to do it anymore. You could just take it on proverbial faith, right? Like she could really not be banging people, like and people would just assume she is now because
except that there's OnlyFans documentation and other video documentation of it happening. Apparently, like
it's fun. It could have been pre-recorded. It's okay.
Oh God! Breaking news! Breaking news!
Wait.
Sorry, Doug. I'm sorry to do this to you.
Oh no! Is it not stale? Is it fresher?
It's not really breaking news. It was the article's from July 2nd of this year, but we missed it. And I'm sorry to make this episode even longer.
2 months. Oh God!
But we have to do this. I'm sorry.
I don't even know what you're gonna say yet, but I've seen this face. You do this weird, like you rub. Speaking of poker tells, you should keep this one. You should recognize this one. You rub your face. You start over one eye. It peels back and reveals.
Oh, I only do this with you. This is not something I do at the poker table. Yeah, this is not
so cute.
This is just for you.
That's so special. All right, continue. Then I won't tell anybody. I won't give away my tell because it's our little secret.
Buckle up, Buttercup. Here's the headline that we missed. Lily Phillips says she slept with 1,113 men in 12 hours, beating Bonnie Blue's claimed record.
What was 1,024? Was it a
1,057 was Bonnie Blue.
So she beat it by 56.
Yep,
is what she's
56.
Claiming?
Yep, in 12 hours. She's 23 years old. Is Lily Phillips, and to her credit, she still looks like she's in her 20s. At least she still looks good.
I'm trying to figure out the rate at which she had to be going to beat this. How many more per hour is that compared to Bonnie Blue? 57?
That's 57. Probably like
over 12 hours.
38 seconds per guy or 40 seconds per guy.
Well, no, but that's another 4.7 per hour.
Yeah.
Than Bonnie Blue did for a solid 12-hour period. Like this is a serious.
Yeah.
She didn't just barely win.
No, that's significant. Yeah.
That's a serious, yeah.
Yep. Her Instagram video on June 30th said, "For those of you who followed me for quite some time now, you'll understand I've been wanting to do a certain world record. Now I'm very happy to announce that yesterday I did just that. I did 1,113 men in 12 hours. This number beats Bonnie Blue's record. The video from the event will take time to edit, but will be released on her Fansly page."
What the fuck does that mean? Is it like a half second of like, boom, 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 boom? Let's like showing everybody real fast. Is it like a montage? Like what the fuck is this?
It's going to be a 12-hour video, I think. Bonnie Blue recently moved to Fansly because she was banned from OnlyFans, so apparently Lily Phillips is doing it there too. In a follow-up video, Lily Phillips shared how she was feeling after the experience. And she makes a pun in here. I'm so happy that she makes a pun. I'm like, oh. Today I'm feeling surprisingly good. I mean, I do feel achy, but technically I did do physical exercise for 12 hours straight, so that makes sense. Some of you will be surprised to find out that yes, I actually took no showers in between men. Not even a baby wipe shower.
I don't think she said blah, by the
No,
way.
that's
I
me
think
saying
that's
that.
Tom's
Sorry. Yep.
editorializing.
It
Okay.
was honestly a conveyor belt. It's not for the weak. If I'm honest, it was hard. Oh,
That's good.
I
You
want
know
to be the
what?
first person to be with 1,000 guys in one day, she told Daily Mail in 2024. She's been planning even bigger goals since.
But that's wait, 1,000 guys. So, but she
Oh, she beat that. Yep. She said she in 2024 she said that. So this is the goal she set in 2024. This them
yeah,
saying
and
she
then
made her
Bonnie
goal.
Blue did it first.
Yes.
So first loser, Lily, you can still suck it, apparently.
Not even a
So
baby wipe. Just it was honestly a conveyor belt. Oh,
I mean,
okay.
yeah, we've talked about this. It
I
kind of have to
know.
be,
Yeah, because you got
unless
time to worry about, right?
unless you give every 10th guy a baby wipe, and he's hits it real quick, and then hits it real quick.
Ugh.
So here's my okay. So let me say something.
23. Oh, okay.
Let me say something real quick. Tom, you and I, we do have similar moral and ethical value systems, and we're weirdly about the same physical size, as we discovered
Yep.
with meeting, although you're like a half inch taller than I am, and I'll never get over it, let's face it.
Maybe after my fall, my spine compressed and I'm shorter than you now. You never know.
That's nice. That's very sweet of you, but it's okay. We all know what this is. We really don't completely agree on anything.
No.
Except for the fact that Bonnie Blue looks way older than she fucking should, and
That's
Lily
true.
Phillips looks exactly like she should.
Yeah,
She
that's
looks
true.
23.
Yep.
Bonnie Phillips looks like she's fucking 38. To me, like you're like like it's just
Yeah. Well, and
we are lockstep on this one,
I think we agree pretty well on that one. Yeah.
and we
I
both
will
think it's
say,
a damn shame.
I,
At
I
least
will
one of
say,
them.
I think an opportunity is being missed here. And
Oh, really? Out of
yeah,
1,000 attempts?
well, I think that there's just one killer opportunity here that needs to be exploited.
Oh no! Did you just pun me?
I
Finish your
did.
pun.
I
Go
did.
for it.
But what do you think Keijo would do, with the opportunity to be relieved by Bonnie Blue or Lily Phillips
You
instead of a
mean
trainer?
putting it in their Orca?
I mean, maybe one of them can go ahead and help this guy take care of this issue. They could get their fan content. It would be something unique
Tom,
and different. It would
Tom,
fill an employment need for the marina, a physiological need for him, and a
Thomas,
sick need for attention and male approval with them. This fills everybody's gaps.
Master Commander Senor Thomas.
Yes.
I will stay up until 4 a.m. with you tonight, crafting the email to send to both Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips,
Oh, I'm not doing that tonight. However,
supporting bestiality
I'm not
for
doing that
them
tonight.
to get to Kijo.
However, I will
Dear
help
Bonnie
you
Blue,
craft that letter. Yeah.
how would you like to fuck an inbred whale?
Bonnie,
Literally.
there's an 11-year-old male who actually needs your expertise and your time.
Lily Phillips. Bonnie Blue just agreed
Yes. You have to do
to
it first.
screw an 11-year-old whale while its mother watches.
Oh, good
En
grief.
français, s'il vous plaît.
Yep, we need to orchestrate this. And I say
You orca
straight. Yes, I say
Yeah,
that intentionally.
perfect.
That was one of my jokes. Now I feel like I can't use my joke anymore.
It's okay.
It's better to use it real. Yeah, I think we're missing an opportunity
You
here. I
better
think this
hurry.
needs to
That
be.
whale died already. They're still stimulating it.
I don't think that's going to stop Bonnie. Oh, goodness.
Let's go to dad jokes now.
Let's go to dad
Jesus.
jokes. Let's be wholesome. John, you're welcome. Hope you appreciated it. Good grief.
All right, I'll start with my one-liner. It's silly. It was a self-dig, but especially considering the last week or two,
Yep.
my wife deserves a joke like this. You ready?
Ready.
It's not easy being a... Otherwise, dads would do it.
Okay.
No, my amazing wife has been taking on lots with everything else. My new job and how it's changed everything. She's been taking on a lot with the kids and everything. So proud of her. She's doing great. So I didn't want to throw that one out there.
It is amazing how much the support of a good partner can allow you to accomplish, isn't it? Like, I look at all the times I actually got meaningful things done in my life, and pretty much every time it's because my wife was there supporting me in unfathomable ways, and I could not have done it without her. All right. So I guess I've already kind of gone there, but it's kind of a one-liner anyway, so I might as well tell this joke first.
You could orchestrate it even.
Yes, it's an orchestration joke.
Ooh.
I'm going to tell you about a Russian orchestration.
Mm-hmm.
Soviet and Russian trained killer whales were used by the KGB to bite the tips off of penises of Soviet enemies. That's an orchestration.
It is.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Russian orchestration.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead. Give me a good one.
What do you call a criminal landing an airplane?
What was that kid's name we talked about? Can I just mention him? Ethan
What was his
Guo.
name? Ethan. Yeah, it was Ethan
Ethan
something.
Guo, I think.
Yeah,
Or
I think so.
All right, so it was.
This
I'm
plane
sorry.
probably still doesn't work.
Probably. This was a criminal landing an airplane.
Yes. I went real stupid tonight. Don't think too hard. Or do think too hard.
I'm afraid if I think too hard, Bonnie Blue might like pop up at my window. I don't want that to happen.
Her bang bus comes through like a Kool-Aid man.
There's an erection somewhere nearby. I must be needed.
I sense a disturbance in the force.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you call a criminal landing an airplane?
Condescending.
I like that. Yeah, that one I like. What did the killer whale do when the boat came?
What did the killer whale do when the boat came?
Yeah.
See, this is where I don't know what. I just can't come up with anything dirty with water, like surfacing, foaming with the waves, propeller, hauled itself. I don't know. What is it?
It swallowed all the semen.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
See, I was never going to get there tonight. Sorry. So sorry, everybody. All right. Really stupid. Are you ready? I hope you like it. I think you'll like it.
Go for it.
You might even know it. What word can you make shorter by adding 2 letters?
What word can you make shorter by adding 2 letters?
Yeah.
Short. You add
yes. ER. Thank you. Good. I kind of figured, but I like that one.
Sure.
It's good.
That reminds me of the one that I saw someone flustered over on a YouTube video was what word is always spelled incorrectly in the dictionary.
Incorrectly.
Yeah, and he couldn't realize, like, he couldn't. They explained it to him, and he still couldn't grasp it.
I don't fucking get it.
He was like, "No, it's spelled correctly. You spell INCOR."
No, it's not.
Correctly.
It's spelled incorrectly.
Yeah, it was a fun. It was pretty good. What do you call a pod of singing killer whales?
An orchestra.
That's good, but they're singing. They're not playing instruments.
An choir.
No,
they're singing. A voice over orchestra.
No. An orcapella group.
Yeah. You give me enough time, I would have probably made it.
I think
that's
so.
good.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think so.
Is that it? Because I don't have any more.
I've got a DUI one.
Oh, good. Doug is the answer. Anyway.
No, this one stems from some life advice. That there was a time where someone told me, it's not how many times you fall down, but how many times you get back up that matters. And I had to explain to him that's not how FSTs work. Yeah. All right, I'm out. That's all I got. That was a long episode. God,
what happened? Jesus.
Well, you were wrong, and it's always a longer episode when you're wrong about something and dig your heels in. So
it's funny. I feel the same way about you.
We're both probably accurate in that one. Then we're both probably right about that. All right, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you.
Bonnie Blue, come bleep a whale.
Yes, Bonnie. We need to get you to Bonnie Blew a Whale. We need that to be the episode title.
We have proprietary rights. You have to reference us when you do this.
And the title's going to be Bonnie Blew a Whale. That's going to be the title.
Bonnie Blew a Whale.
Yes.
She put it in its Orca.
Unless Lily Phillips beats her to it. And then I'll need to think of beats her to it. That works by
Mhm.
itself. I'll have to
Lily
think of.
Phillips a whale.
Oh no, the whale Phillips,
Phillips Lily.
something like that. Yeah, we'll figure this out. This will be good. Wow, we went weird places this episode. Thank you for tuning into our longest ever episode.
Nope.
I bet you it was. I bet you it's longer
Well,
than
we
the Big
split
Lex
up the
episode.
3-hour one about all the Marvel stuff. That was one
Oh,
big
that's
long
true.
recording that we split into two. It was number 8 and 9.
Yeah, that's true.
I
But we're
believe.
still going. So, all right, we'll get the time on this once we're done. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you. Find us on Patreon. Buy us a cup of coffee there. John, you need to buy me a cup
You
of coffee.
especially,
We're
John.
fighting
You
for
just
that.
you better do it now. At least for 2 months. Come on, man.
This is gonna really trouble Doug's that I had to have this on here again. So do this for Doug. Thank you guys. We appreciate you. Find us on Reddit and start chatting with me on Reddit. Because I'm having fun arguing with people on Reddit. This is my favorite thing right now. And we'll chat with you guys soon. Go Dad go.
Whale sex.
Put it in the Orca. Let them put it in the Orca.
Stop the recording.